Celebrate good times. Come on.
Get out the beach! Get out the beach! Hans, get off the beach!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 8th anniversary of the GeekVerse podcast. 8-year anniversary of the GeekVerse podcast. I'm the Clown Prince of Podcast, Trestel, and I'm joined by...
I'm your friendly neighborhood caster, Kirkland Patzer.
I'm the Animark caster, Dylan Musk.
I am the Field of Fields, Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is July, and it is crazy that it's just flying by. Like even 8 years, because I know that's not the 10, but even just to put that in perspective, to think about that 8 years. Someone give me 8 times 365. Obviously, we don't do it every day, but just the amount of podcasts we've done. It's it's here. We have been luckily and graciously been still going for 8 years for most people. 2,920 days. Kirkland
Almost
Patzer tells me.
3,000 days of GeekVerse. That's crazy.
Yeah. And we've been through it all. We've been through E3s. We've been through the death of E3. We've been through Comic-Cons. We've been through a pandemic. Now we're about to go through a strike. We've been through a bunch of things and lots of good things too. How many games and movies and TV shows that we've anticipated or thought would never happen, like a Star Wars movie or Keaton coming back to bomb with the Flash or a KOTOR remake that doesn't exist. But most of the stuff is good stuff, and I'm very happy. So as usual, what we're going to do is every year we do a questionnaire. Except for the first year, you can go back and watch when we played a trivia match with everybody and stuff like that, which was a good time.
Never done that again since.
I'd be down for some more trivia.
Yeah,
I'd love
maybe-
to come up with some good questions for you guys at this point in time.
Maybe we should bust down the 24-hour stream. Do that, then do like a trivia
Good
segment
idea.
stuff.
Now the
We-
Gauntlet's dead.
Yeah,
Some
we
homemade trivia.
We're
we gotta
tired.
make questions.
We're tired. Don't say dead.
Fucking dead.
It can come back at some point, but it's
6
not
feet
dead.
under.
Indefinite hiatus. is
Yeah,
my
yeah,
preferred
exactly.
term, yeah.
When we get bought out and someone writes us that 7-figure check, you'll get Gauntlet again. I'm hoping some streamer one day will just see it as mine, be like, oh, I really like this concept, But yes, maybe we will then.
That's how
Maybe
he
we'll
talks too.
Yeah, maybe we'll get. Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah, maybe we'll get maybe we'll get one of the non-GV members they can host it so they can ask us the questions and stuff like that so we can, be impartial. Who knows? But that'll be in November, which we do yearly. It's always a good time. But yeah, what we do is we take questions from everybody. As we talk about with Patreon, usually the newscast or, the patrons supply those questions, or people in live chat. These questions, they go out to anybody. The Discord, the Facebook, the Twitters, the YouTubes, wherever you can find, or the patrons. And as always, just a big thank you to everyone that still listens. We really appreciate it. The past couple years, we've grown quite a bit from when we started as just a hobby, from going to one cast to several, to having we got a yearly calendar all the time, to having the Discord, which is my favorite. Shout out to Dylan who got me on there, and I was like, I don't know about this Discord place, but it's like my favorite place as far as apps now, because it's been a great, like it feels like we have, I always say, we have this nice little small community. It's small, but that's the way I like it, because it's all nice and good people, and we always have a fun time, and that's like my favorite place to go now. But yeah, thank you to everybody that still listens, whether you just listen every once in a while, whether you listen every episode, whether you just listen to newscasts or side quests or reviews, however you take in GeekVerse, we really appreciate it, because again, I'm sure we would be here. We love doing this, and we're all friends. We like talking about this stuff, but we've always said like we couldn't have grown and done multiple side shows or multiple content stuff if people weren't supporting us. So we really appreciate it. So big thank you to everyone that hits that download button, watch us play. We appreciate it, and we love you all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big shout out to all the listeners, new and old. But like, I
Yes.
feel like a big emphasis on just like the OG fans that have been following like since the early days of terrible audio quality.
Yes.
I feel like I spoke like a mouse, and just like I would just throw in like, that sounds good.
30
I
words
agree.
per cast.
Yeah, like literally, like that was the early days, and just like for myself to like, I haven't been following, I feel, anything for 8 years time. Like that is loyalty,
Look out, Shay.
hardcore. I haven't been with Shay for 8 years, so this
I know, so
podcast
if you
is
hit
older
that
than my
cap-
relationship. Yeah, yeah, that'll be the big test, I guess, if I follow it for 8 years. But no, seriously, just like to find us in those early days, for whatever reason, they just stuck around, and here we are. Thanks to all their support. But no, it's special time. I feel like these anniversary casts too. Normally, it's like leading up to an E3, so it's like the benchmark type thing. But now that that's just kind of dead, it's not even just retired. I'm gonna call it dead. I'm gonna call it 6 feet under. But like, even though I don't have like an E3 to look forward to, like mark off, like, oh yeah, we're getting around that anniversary time.
Yeah.
It just something in the air. It's just like, oh yeah, that 8 year, like the 8 year, or like even last year, like 7 year. I feel like the 5 year was a big deal, and here we are 3 years later. It's wild times.
We're closer
feel
to
like-
10 than we are to 5. That's
Yeah.
that's scary.
And I feel like especially in the last 3 years and the last year or two in particular, just the amount of discussion going on in the Discord and like YouTube live chat and all that stuff. It's just it feels a lot more interactive in that way than it has in the past. So just always getting better and better. The community's growing and everyone's getting closer. I feel like so many people in the community who probably never talked outside of just these Discord chats and YouTube chats. I feel like people are very close, and that's very cool to see. And sometimes, like, I don't know, there's like long conversations happening where none of us are even involved. But I just love reading through and seeing what everyone's talking about. It's always great to see.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, 8 years, holy smokes! Like, and it feels like it's going faster and faster because
Oh yeah.
just like yesterday, I feel like we did the 7 year.
Yeah,
It
it blends together for sure.
It's just blowing my little noggin. Yeah, that's a long freaking time, and I like to remind Madison all the time.
Is that
too,
what you
like, yeah,
call your?
My little noggin.
little noggin? Little noggin, yeah. I like to remind Madison too, like, yeah, the podcast is longer than our relationship. Like you
like to remind
Shay
her.
I
there.
like to remind her.
You like to
Just so you remember, woman,
jab that with
my
her.
podcast is long.
I'm
When
more
I have to-
dedicated.
Yeah, when I have to pick between you and the podcast wins every
Priorities.
time. I've been with her
Priorities.
longer.
Yeah.
What about your child? You haven't been with your child as long as Madison, let
That's
alone
that's
this
a fresh
podcast.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long way to go there. Yeah, it's just it's just unfathomable. I mean, we've done so many different things together. We've experimented in so many different things. And
With your little noggin.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
We
night crawlers.
bonded,
I
we've
remember
gotten
those
really,
nights.
really close
Yeah.
together. You know, you
That
guys.
night we all fucked was crazy.
The GV orgy.
That one
Oh,
camping
yeah, what a
trip.
night.
Yeah.
That's why Briggs left. You got too attached. We're like, no, it was just a one night thing, Briggs.
We had to let him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
When's the next
He
one, guys?
moved
When's
to
the
a
next
different
one?
province.
It's
Yeah,
like
he's
that
outta
Black
here.
Mirror. Yeah, it's like that Black Mirror episode where yeah, it's like really obsessed with the video game and keeps wanting to go back. Like, come on, let's go back in. And we had to kick Briggs out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as always, I do this every year. But I shout out to everybody, people like your Briggs, your Jessicas, your Kyles, your Liams, your Rubens, Connor for a little, a little bit here and there and stuff. People that have helped us out over the years in different facets, whether they were actually hosting or guest hosting or just even doing stuff like Connor comes in and does the matches and everything. And when they were in town for the trivia stuff like that, and all our significant others too, because they've done something with the podcast, whether
Yeah,
it's contribute or been on the podcast. So you can go back last year, they did the Better Halves episode. One time we'll try to do an episode 2, but I should probably republish that and put that closer up. But yeah, no, it's go ahead, Kirk.
Even just tolerating how
Yes,
much time
absolutely.
this takes of our week, right? Like this is like just ramped up to the point that we're doing so many off casts. We were just talking about this week has been insane. But I mean, when you put it in perspective of the amount of time we talk on cam with each other, just throughout the year, big shouts out to the sig figs out there. Sig figs. Significant others. I don't know why I tried to
Sound-
squish that for some reason. I
Sounds
don't
like
know.
cigarettes were illegal, and you're like, "Hey, got any of those sig figs? Yeah, I'll meet you in the alley in 10." Like, yeah, no, and honestly, that is a back to the listeners and the people on Patreon and whatnot, because we say this, like, we of course do this because we love this and everything like that, but also with you people supporting us and helping us and even doing stuff financially, that makes it a lot more justifiable for people when we say, "Hey, I got a podcast 5 times this week," but everyone has helped us reach to that level where it is, somewhat justifiable. There are weeks where, it's a grind. There's a question about that, but we may as well get into those questions. So let's start off. We're talking about, some of the oldest listeners and stuff like that. Oh, hey, I see Kirkland in the 8 year there. Summer Hansey, who might be now on record. I think probably the old, there's a couple people that like I had outdated her as far as talking to us, but I think those are people that have fallen off, and I think she's been the most concurrent from, till there, and Hansi. It's always great to hear from you. I hope to catch you on After 9. Soon I'll be badgering you because a few years ago we talked about, hey, when we do a movie, we need some of your music, and we're getting very close to that point. So I'm looking very forward. Oh yeah, you're gonna get some Hansi and some Season Sapphire, all that type of good stuff over there. So yeah, look out for that stuff. As I said, stuff 5 million times. Summer Hansi, what has been your favorite project this year? What has been your most surprising project this year? And what has been your saddest delay to 2024 for each of you? And as I talked to these guys off cast, the first time I read this, I read it as what has been your saddest day this year, and I thought Hansi was going for just the juggler there, but yeah, let's Dylan,
My birthday.
Yeah,
Just realizing how old
yeah.
I'm getting.
No sig figs were there. Dylan, let's start with you. What about you? What's been your your favorite, surprising, and the saddest delay?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. She words it as your favorite project, which is pretty not ambiguous, but that could be whatever. It could be game, it could be a movie, it could be TV show, it could really be whatever is the way I read it. And you would think I'd probably pick a video game as my favorite thing, but I haven't. I mean, I've really enjoyed a few games, but I haven't loved one yet to the point that I've had in previous years. So I honestly think my answer, and this is not even spoiling Golden Geeks, but this is just the first thing that comes to mind, is like the Mario movie for me. Would be like my favorite thing this year still. Not that it's the highest quality, the best writing, or anything like that, but I just love that it exists, and it was actually for me very good, and like obviously it pulled on my nostalgia in a big way. So I think that might be my favorite project of the year so far. Does anyone else also have that as their answer? Ooh, crickets.
Sorry to disappoint.
Surprising. This was tricky for me to think of something that really surprised me this year. I think my answer might be John Wick, because I'd seen one of them previously, and then even doing the retro and not really loving those movies, thinking they're kind of just fine, and then coming into chapter 4 and it being fucking amazing. And like, I don't know, it's if I'm thinking Golden Geeks tier, it's probably above Mario for me at this point, and that's my favorite thing of the year. So I don't even know what that means. It doesn't make any sense at all, but I definitely a surprise for me. I guess maybe to the degree of how much I enjoyed it. And then hard to think of a delay too, because I mean, like if Starfield got delayed again, that would be my answer. But so far, it looks like it's coming out. And there any other game delays, I'm not really bummed by them in particular. I'm like, oh, I can wait until next year. So I mean, I guess Blade was supposed to come out this year, like at some point in time, right? 2023.
At some point, yeah, at some point.
So that might be my answer. But I can't. Is there another big movie that got delayed out of this year? Like obviously MCU slates are shifting all the time, and if I had to pick one from those things that got kicked out, Blade is the one that makes the most sense. I don't even know if that got delayed out of this year. In this year though, I think that happened last year. So
yeah, I think that happened last year. I think the only thing that would happen is
calendar year, perhaps.
Yeah. I think some of them would have been like maybe some of the shows, like if you're really looking forward to What If or X-Men or Marvel Zombies, like those got kicked the bucket. But yeah, I don't think any of those really big ones happened this year, or if they did, they're very early on.
But I am very excited for Blade, and I feel like maybe it's just because we're kind of doom talking it a bit, but as we've talked about on recent newscasts lately, we're losing faith, and we're thinking, oh, what if Ali leaves, and all these things. So I feel like my hype is dying a bit, but I am still, like, on paper incredibly excited to see what that movie is and the casting for it, and even throw Mia Goth in there, all that stuff. So hopefully next year, but who knows.
If Ali were to drop, does all your excitement drop? Like, is it primarily
No.
Blade? Okay, so it's
Not
still
all of
Blade.
it,
Yeah,
but
okay.
like a good amount, and I don't know who you could cast who's better than that, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it will be a downgrade, but I'd still probably put it higher than a good amount of other MCU projects in terms of excitement, just because I love that character and what we got going on here, especially hot off Midnight Suns, where Blade, just such a great, well done character there. Yeah, get whoever the voice actor was for Blade in the game, bring him in. I don't know what he looks like, but bring him in. I'm down.
Some super white dude.
Yeah, super white guy.
Yeah,
Doesn't
who just
sound
did
like
the voice.
It, but, I mean, I don't know.
He does the Matthew McConaughey thing to lower his voice. That's what he does.
Yeah. What about you, Kirk? What's your trifecta?
My holy trinity here. Number one, my favorite movie of the year so far, my favorite project is Spider-Verse 2, Into the Spider. What even? I don't even remember what it's called. That's how much I just was blown. Thank you.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I wanted to say Into the Spider-Verse, and then I also wanted to say Beyond the Spider-Verse. So yeah, I was wrong
three.
on both.
Far
counts,
from the
but
Spider-Verse.
far from the Spider-Verse.
It's
No,
just like
this
the No Way
movie.
Home movies. They all got those fucking verses in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'll keep it short because I went off on that review. I just was so blown away on just how much they met my high expectations for it. The animation step up was just mind blowing. I didn't think they could match the first movie, let alone beat it, and they did. And emotionally too, like the movie totally brought me in on the emotion side. I was tearing up a couple times in it, and I mean, it's Spidey. Like like they just did it so well and changed upon it. They added things that separated it from the first movie to continue on a story that I just thought was already so good. So yeah, I love that movie so much. I don't own it yet on Blu-ray. Is it even out on Blu-ray yet?
Nope.
It must be, right? Oh no. Okay.
No.
There you go.
No, they're theater.
It feels so far away though. Just since
Especially
the first time I
now,
saw
they're
it.
they're gonna let movies run a lot longer in the theater because they're not gonna have the content stream now. So I think if movies do well, they're gonna pull that back. And even like in today's news, like Iger's talking about like stuff just being held back. So I think I don't know if it's gonna work, but I feel like the industry's gonna try and reverse engineer and get back to the good old days of waiting 6 months till DVD and streaming. But hey, Guardians just went on digital this week, and the Little Mermaid's going on in a couple weeks. So those are ones for May. So was that May, June, July? Even then, that's only 3 months. That's not a big. It's not a big gap. So and Spider-Verse was when June, so that could become an August, September-ish. So we'll see. Then you got like Flash that's gonna be on digital next week, like 3 weeks later. So that's cool.
I mean, the last Blu-ray I bought was the first Spider-Verse movie, and the next
Ooh,
Blu-ray I'm gonna
nice.
buy is the next Spider-Verse movie. I rarely buy physical copies, so I'm very much excited for that one. My biggest surprise of the sorry.
Oh, I was
wanted
going to
to
ask
add
two
something?
things. One, yeah, we were talking about it in the Discord today because S-Bubs bought some in Prime deal. I usually don't buy movies, but I'm looking at Bullet Train over there. It was $6 on Amazon Prime Day. I just had to.
Damn.
Just had to because like whatever. And then I was going to ask and you can maybe say your thoughts because I'm sure we're going to go on Geeks. But Dylan, have you seen Across the Spider-Verse yet?
Not yet. I plan to go see it in theaters still, so I
Yeah.
should probably get on that before it gets kicked out of there.
I think you got another
especially-
couple weeks. It's still in the top 10
Okay.
right now, making money. So I
But
think you
even
probably
next
got
week,
till
Oppenheimer and then Barbie. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go see as
true.
well. So I
filling
don't know
up.
when I'll find the time, but I should push myself to go see it in theaters. I think
I
It's
bet they'll
worth it.
keep it in there for August because that's like the last push before kids go back to school. So I
August
think
would actually be a prime time because I feel like August
Yeah.
looking kind of light on the content
Mm-hmm.
side. That'd be a good time to go to the theater. So hopefully it's. I mean, I'm sure they've announced when it's leaving, but I
No, not yet. They
yet?
did, and then they said it
it's
was
been doing
July.
well, I guess, at
Yes.
the box office. So
yeah.
they're gonna just presumably keep it there for a bit.
They said
It's like
July, and the director was like, "No, don't like that. It's not coming that soon." So I think because it's doing well, they'll hold it.
Nice.
It's like the Top Gun Maverick effect. I remember being like choked. I'm like, I lost my chance to see it again in theaters, and then like a month later, I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
because it was just making so much money.
Yeah, and even then,
Um,
August isn't that much. So
Moving on to the next one, my biggest surprise of the year. I kind of had two that first pop in my mind. The honorable mention, I guess I'll throw out there, is Knock at the Cabin, strictly because of the way that Old left me. I was just like, I am so done with M. Night Shyamalan movies. I hate this so much. But
that's so
you know,
surprising. You
not-
like that
not-
movie less than me, so I'm surprised by that.
for
one.
Knock at the Cabin, I
Yeah.
think it was just like a
better than
significant
Old.
step up than what Old was, and it was just like, okay, I have. It's not one of those things where I see Old and it's just god awful, and I saw Knock at the Cabin. It's like, okay, I'm officially done with this director. Like I just have no faith in him. Saw it. It's like, okay, no, it's just a bad project amongst many others that he could potentially do.
I watched that last week actually.
Which
home
one?
streaming moment. Knock at the Cabin.
Okay, I was like, don't. You should ask about Old. Don't spend your time on
No,
Old.
not old. Not wasting my time on that one.
Yeah, mid-sized sedan. And then my actual biggest surprise of the year is The Flash. Actually, that movie, just big delays, and I was just so done of like hearing just the controversies going on with Ezra just getting thrown in jail. It's just like, what's gonna happen for this movie? And I think it's kind of like the Snyder Cut type thing, which is kind of funny because I ended up really liking that movie, but I was just like exhausted with hearing about it. I was just like, let this movie be out so that people can just stop talking about it and being anticipated. But I saw the Flash, and I was very surprised. I really enjoyed it, and not even like a big Flash guy from the animated series or back in the day. I really really liked Ezra's performance in that movie, along with the other cast and crew in it. So yeah, I really 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 liked the Flash, and that one surprised me because it wasn't in my like top 5 most hyped movies of the year by any means. And yeah, really 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 enjoyed that one.
You weren't the only one tired of hearing about it, though. It seems like when it came to open, everyone was kind of done with it. So
Yeah, I guess so. For the numbers was.
yeah,
the
everyone's like,
translator
yeah,
one.
they've already probably a bunch of people already thought it came out. How much talk about it? It's like, oh yeah, it must have been out
Yeah.
months ago. Yeah.
And then for the last one, classic GV, I just misread the question. I thought it was like movies that was delayed from 2024 like into 2025. So I was like looking deep into like what was actually canceled there. So, I fixed it here. I would have to throw out Fantastic Four, actually. I think just
Right,
I'm
yeah.
so ready to experience the new Fantastic team, and I don't know, just like where they're gonna be included in the MCU and how that's gonna fit is just so intriguing to me. The other one I'll throw out, I guess, is Deadpool, just for where it kind of fit into closing off the saga, because that was the initial pitch, right? It was supposed to end Phase 4, and I think when we were first talking about that, it was just such a fun idea of like, what is Ryan Reynolds and crew going to do to like end this phase in a very dramatic way? Because that's the way I kind of pictured it going with the Deadpool route. But, it's been delayed. I'm excited to see it. We just talked about it in a newscast not too long ago. But yeah, I still think Fantastic Four is the bigger upset in that sense, just because I just want it. I just want to get there. And it still seems like we're so far away from that project. But yeah, that's my Trinity there.
Nice.
Very nice, Taylor.
So, my most favorite of the year, I'm with you, Kirkland. I gotta say, Spider-Verse. That was just, I mean, that was just an incredible experience in the theater. It was absolutely wonderful. My most surprised, I'd have to say, is Tetris. That completely caught me off guard.
Oh,
I
God.
love that movie. It's fantastic. It's great. Absolute surprise. Had me on the edge of my seat, my couch, the whole time. Most saddest delay, I mean, there's nothing that's nothing was really making me sad. But if I had to pick, I guess I'd probably say A Quiet Place prequel, which was originally slated for September 2023, and it was bumped to March 2024. That's probably the only thing that maybe, like, I'm not shedding any tears for it, but like I'd be a little bit like, I might do a little bit of a deep breath and a huff, but that's it. I don't know.
Quiet tear. A quiet tear fell from your face.
He shows up in September. What do you mean it's not playing?
It just goes to the theater. Like, let
The
me
poor
in.
attendant is just, no.
Where's John Krasinski?
Yeah. Actually, he's not even directing this one. Give me the tickets. But yeah, I feel like you can probably use this question again next year, because I feel like we're gonna have some more delays and stuff. So yeah, it's tricky for me. So with the project one, you could count as the most surprising as well, because I'm very similar to Dylan, where I was a little bit more positive because I absolutely loved John Wick 1, but then 2 and 3 I found myself just not really, I won't say not caring, but not loving them as much as I thought. I always thought, man, I can't wait till we do that retro, because I bet you I'm just going to love these 2 other movies. And I remember just like liking them, and they were like not bad movies, but I just was like, man, I really misunderstood that. But no, it's still somehow my number one with everything, especially, people always accuse me of just being the comic book guy, but Spider-Verse and Guardians and Flash, all this like this great stuff that I really liked in that genre. It's just, as I said, the epicness of John Wick and just that vibe is it's just fantastic, and it blew me away. And obviously we got Oppenheimer coming up in Dune, so those are some other ones that are on a grand scale that I got my eyes on, and even Barbie, who knows. But yeah, so John Wick probably be that, and then my nether, like as like a cheat, because like Dylan said, what's a project, definitely was just like when we did some filming this year, and we're not done, but when we did the stuff in the woods, but when me, Dylan, and Kirkland, or sorry, it's not Dylan, Dylan's coming in later. A little scoop, I'll let everyone know, Dylan has a big role
I've
in the
not
second
officially
one.
been cast.
Yeah,
so.
we're still talking,
that?
but no. It's 8. I'll give it a scoop that Dylan does have a big role in the second one, but he's primarily just a voice, so he gets to be like the Tars of our movie, where Dylan hasn't
James
seen the
Earl
script.
Jones.
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he hasn't seen the script, he hasn't seen that, but like he has as much dialogue as any of us, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But it sounds like, what have I signed up for? But no, it's gonna be all perfectly edited. But no, it was a good 3 days of we just went up to the cabin and we talked a little bit of this on Patreon stuff, but we just locked ourselves in there. We just filmed for 3 days straight, and at the end of it was like, man, this was a lot. And I was like, oh, like not like we can never do this again, but definitely like we need a good breather before we do anything like this again. But it was a good time, and honestly, it's a bit easier that way because as we try to film other stuff, that's always a tough thing too, of like, oh, this day and this day. But that was tons of fun to work on. I'm excited to just work on more stuff. We got more things cooking and everything. And as we said before, it'll be a while before, and who knows with the strike. I don't even know the strikes if festivals are going to be affected or whatnot. So one day it'll be all the. But those are the two. And then surprising, that would have been John Wick. But I punted up there. This is a movie that, as of right now, probably, it depends on how many people see Barbie and how good it is, but probably is going to be my Golden Geek must-watch pick. It's a movie called Sanctuary, and I've only talked about it a little bit, but it was on my radar. I really liked the pitch. It's Margot Qualley, and I can't remember the guy who's in it, but pretty much just the log line is a guy is breaking up with his dominatrix, and it's not a relationship, it's just like he's ending things, and it's just, that's the log line. When I saw that, and yeah, we've talked about this before, I'm a sex positive person. I love all those projects. I'm very, I was going to say sexually active. That sounds weird to say it that way, but there's just, I like that genre, and there's just certain things in my life, especially where this touched on some good things, and it's funny that I was expecting to like it, but right now I have it as number 2. And just like John, like Sanctuary is one of my favorite movies of the decade, one of my favorite movies of the year. I was at home watching this thing, and there were moments, and this is because the sex stuff, this is just because the characters, and the movie's primarily just these two locked in a hotel room. Like it feels like a COVID movie. I was cheering at times. It was just so, I was standing like, oh my God, like it has so many good moments, and Margaret Qualley is just like the best performance I've seen her done, one of the best of the year. So that's probably going to be what I have to recommend to these guys, because it's like kind of like a thriller in a sense, and it's just so well done. So I was expecting to like it, and even from like festivals and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, this movie's really good, but I wasn't seeing out top 10 lists or like you have to see this. I was just like, oh, this is to my liking, and yeah, it floored me. It was so well done. That's like probably like a physical purchase type of movie, and that says a lot. So yeah, I'm looking very forward to Golden Geeks when you guys watch, because I don't even know if a bunch of stuff will be in there, but Qualley is just so good. I do love
some Qualley. Where's that puppy streaming? I gotta see this thing.
I had to buy it, so I don't think it's anywhere yet, but it just came out a couple of weeks ago, so it just newly. It was in the festival circuit, and then it went to theaters. We didn't get it here, and then I watched it at home. So eventually, I'm sure it will pop up on a Netflix or Paramount or something. Nice. But
said it came out May. That's more than a couple weeks ago. That's a couple months ago now. We're in July 19th. It says May 19th.
I guess I watched.
How
I guess
dare you be off
June.
by a few weeks?
Yeah, that's inappropriate. Yeah. Come on, this is 8 years, man. Step your game up. Oh. Yeah, kick him finally. Kicks himself. Yeah. About time.
Yeah. And then I didn't. Sorry, I didn't mean to switch again. I was the same thing. It was tough to find something from 2024, so I just took a cheat and I just used Knights of the Old Republic, because I imagine that it kind of got delayed to unknown time in 2024. But there's nothing. I think I'm like Taylor, where there's no project that I felt very sad about. I think because if Blade was further along, I would have. And even with Fantastic Four, same thing. If we had the cast confirmed enough, I knew Adam Driver was for sure Reed Richards, I'd be like, oh man. But because it's still up in the air, I'm kind of waiting. So luckily there hasn't been, it's not like the COVID times where when the Batman got delayed, that was a shot to the heart of half a year later. I was like, ugh. And even then, I think that is where the sadder list comes in, right? Because the strikes now, it's like, well, now I know the Batman 2 is delayed and we're not getting that 2025. So I feel like a lot of stuff next year, like even Deadpool, we're not getting that next year anymore, that unless the strike gets resolved in 2 days or something, but we're not getting that. So luckily this year, nothing too bad. So it worked out. Nice. Super Bad Mike. Sorry, I skipped over Sam. Sorry, I'll go. Super Bad Mike, you're coming. Sam, when most people start a podcast, it doesn't last 8 months, let alone 8 years. So it's amazing effort. Does it ever get hard remaining motivated to post consistently, or do you still enjoy catching up and talking like always? Congrats on 8 years. No, I hate it. We're signed a contract. I'm sick and tired of seeing these guys. We're locked in.
Dominatrix and the guy.
Yeah, trying to break up. What about you, Taylor? And that's you've been fresh actually for a couple of weeks now, father. So how are you now feeling balancing all that going on? Because now you got usually it's like wife, job, and hobbies, and I feel like podcasting is kind of a hobby thing. But now you got child, so that's a whole other quadrant thing you got to worry about.
Yeah, like it's been interesting. Like you I no, I don't say this like any disrespect towards like you, Dylan, or you, Kirkland, but Travis,
Whoa.
I know you know what it's like, and that
Wow.
first night
Wow.
is like, holy fuck, that is one of the craziest nights of my existence. It's nuts. So since then, and spending the week just trying to transition and get kind of into the groove, it's been a process, but it's been great. And now I feel like I'm on week 3 of having this infant, and so now I feel like I'm in the groove. I still got my COD nights. I mean, that hasn't changed. Baby just sleeps with me, and we're just playing COD, getting those wins. We're podcasting, all that. What's up?
Are you buying the Black Noir skin as like a on topic, off topic thing?
Oh yeah,
I thought so. Homelander, it's very tough.
his lines are in there. His actual dialogue. It's so good.
should
Like
do
not
it.
Black Noir, but Homelander.
I hate that I bought Arnold and Scream and they're just lost like forever. I wish if they could transfer over to other war zones, I'd be so much more on game, but it's tough. It's like
That's
even when you see
fair.
his,
I mean, you
it's
don't
like his
have-
gloves holding the gun. It's very silly. So
You don't have to buy a whole bunch. Like you don't have to buy many of them, but like this one, you're probably good for at least another like 3 years, I'd
Yeah.
say. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, it's up to you really if you
Yeah.
want to invest in it.
But yeah, still got your COD nights. That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, in terms of like just podcasting for 8 years, it is like you said, it's Sam. It's an amazing effort, and staying motivated is incredibly difficult at times because it certainly gets exhausting. There's some days where I'm just not having it. I'm just like, man, it's hot out. I'm tired, and we're gonna do like 3 hours of a cast here. Like,
My little noggin needs a rest.
Your hot
little
room,
noggin
your
needs a
AC's
break.
dead.
But the main thing though, I think going in is just trying not to let it necessarily become work. And this is something that Dave from Vodka Stream said. It really resonated with me, and he mentioned in passing, I think one of the first episodes that we were going on, guesting on his show, and he said something along the lines of like if you don't want it to like something like this to kind of become into work, because if it becomes work more than like a passion, then that's not okay. And it really resonated with me, and so I've tried to use that mindset with the podcast to just try and look at it and be like, yeah, this is my passion, and just keep focusing on those things I enjoy talking about, and it stopping it from being like work, and it makes it more enjoyable, and it makes it like much more like easier to just hop on in good spirits and just do that 3-hour session with you guys and just really have a good time. So
I'll go next because I'll piggyback on like the kid thing and stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how. I feel like we kind of luckily fell backwards into doing the 8 years like we always intended to, but I always say around that end game time is obviously we've started, people approached us and got monetization. That was like a big extra boost. Be like, okay, cool, this is something that at least can help us with our free time, especially when we do a bunch more. I think there would have been some version of this, but maybe it would have been much smaller, or maybe there wouldn't have been. I don't know. It's a tough thing to look at, right? And because lots of people, but that's what I always tell people, and I see it all the time when people, they start podcasts and they're even like a year, 2 years, like, oh, there's nothing. It's like I said, we didn't, because we started 2015, that was 2019. That took us 5 years. And when we were starting to make money, it was like, we're making $20 a month. Like that was the big thing. Like, look at this. Like, that's the thing where it's like, even just finding an audience, you hit so many lulls as far as like, and even this year where it's not so much a lull, it's just one of these things that we talked about before, where the back half of 2021 and 2022, we had a thing where, which was it last year or the year before? One of the years, it was every month was our biggest month. And that's such a high to be like, man, we broke it. And then when you get back and, some projects don't hit as well or stuff like, I don't like to say it, but like The Flash or other things, I don't blame like lower downloads on that. But it's like before, when you have these movies that are doing really well, you have more people that want to talk about them. But when less people see them or play a game or see a TV show, it's the same way as I feel like when you look at, for us, like some certain like MCU shows, when those first started, very hot and heavy. Some of the biggest episodes there. Nowadays, like, oh, they always do well. But that's the thing. It's interesting to watch, and you can feel that way from a motivation standpoint, when even for me, it's so weird when I look at this, and like this will be still probably our second biggest year unless we have like a massive fall, right? But it's still like you look at it, oh, but it's not what it was last year, and that's it's a good problem to have, but a bad problem. So I feel like sometimes you and anybody, if you're starting a podcast, or you've done this a couple of years, if your ratings are just like kind of just steady, what I just try and go with is always, one, look at what you did in the past, be happy with that, two, that you've grown, and two, just be happy that there's still people there. You know, like it's always, of course, great to get a big boost and you get new people and some stick around, some don't. But I feel like that's sometimes the hardest push when you feel like, oh, we're doing all this stuff, but it's not like it was at one time, but sometimes you just catch fire, right? And that's a good thing. We still very luckily, like the fact that if I were to tell myself and us back in 2015, the listenership we would have in the community, hey, this is what we'll have even 8 years. As I said, it's a small community, but I'm still shocked. I go, man, like to see us charting, even nowadays, I take it for granted. I remember how many times we would chart in the Apples in the early days and be like maybe an episode a year and be like massive. And nowadays, every time we put out a review, it charts in Apple. And I take that so for granted now so many times. I try not to, but I look, it's just like, even when I pull up Chartable, it's like, man, we were in the Philippines top 10 TV film. Like you'll look and there's like 40 different cities or countries that were in the Apple ones. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So you get like, it's weird for people if you're starting podcasts that like the levels of success, it always changes. It always gets, oh, you do this and it's never good enough now. But I try to always sit back and go, that's great. And for consistency, it's this is definitely the hardest year for me. I think the only hardest year was when I first had Gwen, because that was a combo of new dad, and it was around the time, like she was 1.5, somewhere in there, where we're just starting to get monetization. So that's when we were doing a lot more casts and trying things out and everything. So it was a double whammy of like, I don't think like I said before, last year we talked about this, it was just tough to bounce it all. Where this year, it's just, obviously I have 3 kids now. So that's the biggest thing, where one has a soccer, one has a dance, other one has a soccer. There's all these things. And it's tough where there's nights like this week we've talked about, very busy, just happened to be the week it is, but there's not been a single day, like Emily's putting them in bed right now, there's not been a single day I've been there for bedtime. And I don't like that because I like to cuddle and I like to, because there's going to be a time, and Gwen's 6, it's her birthday today. We all went out and did stuff. So it's not cutting into the birthday stuff, thank goodness.
Happy birthday,
but
Gwen.
yeah. there's going to be times where, or not times, it's going to be soon. She's 6 now. There's going to be, we're going to get to that point where she's not going to want me to like cuddle or be there because she's going to be too old, right? And that plays with me all the time. So that's where it's not a secret. I've talked about this on Travis Told You. There's been many times where I've been like very close to calling it and ending that show, and not because I'm not happy with it, not because there's not content. It's just it's really tough to pick all the things you want to do and kind of have to do, and it's that thing of want to keep doing it. It's always great, and that's why I thank the patrons there that support us, because the way I do is lots of times that I'll take off time from work so I could do the podcast, and the money kind of equals out. But when there's lower times and lower, as we say, you guys support the shows and stuff like that. But if things are lower, it's tougher for me to justify, okay, to spend this many hours, I got to kind of pick and choose more. There's a reason why GeekVerse started with one cast, and then we had a bunch of spin-off shows, but then all of us got significant others and lives, and went back to just kind of GeekVerse and a retro, and now there's a lot more because it's grown. But that's where you still have to kind of balance it, and how much time can you put in for what you get. And like we've talked about before, this year with monetization, it's kind of all over the charts this year. So I think for me this is the hardest, because it's just even doing stuff like going to the gym I want to do, but sometimes that happens like once a week, and that's just like a mental thing where I want to go, but it's been very tough. So for me, it's I'm gonna be riding out this year. I think like even Travis told you, it's not going anywhere, and I think almost what Taylor said, it's like I've gotten the mindset of I try now to say it's okay to skip a cast. There's sometimes where it's just you just need a break, and there's times where it's like, and back in the day, like last week when I was on Secret Invasion, I would do that and go on Marvel Alliance, but I was like, I'm already talking about it there. That's probably not the best thing to do with my time. I can skip that one. Like these guys are great, luckily. Like I never feel like I had to lead it, but it's like I don't feel we've been doing this so long. It's like, oh, I can go. And my last point is like a retro will be coming out soon, but we just did Wolf of Wall Street, and to me it's a very Jordan Belfort thing where when he makes that speech about leaving and he makes up all these reasons, but really he just doesn't want to go. That's sometimes with me in the podcast, it's like it's just that FOMO of like, oh, like I don't want to miss this big episode, there's this and everything. But then when I got the news I'm missing Avatar 2, it's like, oh, it's such a big review and that sucks. But then when it goes by, you're like, okay, whatever, I'll talk about it another time. So I think I've gotten better with that, and that's where now I try to step away. So I think also in August I have a vacation, and there's some couple of weeks I might actually take off, and that's like the whole FOMO thing of like, even with kids I would do it, and then I feel like I gotta be back in the grind, whether I didn't want to miss it or whether we were growing and I didn't want to hurt the team and not go away. So I feel like soon I'm going to just actually take like a good 2-week break or something like that, or even 3 weeks, and just kind of detox, even if it's just doing one cast, just because I feel that I don't want it to get to that point where I feel like I have to do it, because I enjoy doing this. And that's why I've always said, if something goes, it's Travis told you, because we started the podcast to do this together. And those are the casts I like doing, is with each and every one of you guys. So I love Travis told you. I love people like brought up last year in the survey. I keep doing it, but it's that thing of if it just starts to weigh on you, because it's always editing and setting the time. It's all that stuff too, where there's just certain things where this year's definitely been the toughest, but I'm trying to maneuver and see, you know, how to figure it out and stuff. But it's still, for the most part, a really good time, because there might be times where I'm tired, but then we sit down and talk and we're laughing, and then it all kind of goes away. But definitely, it's not easy. It's, if we were doing one cast a week, it would be, but like this week this is our 5th cast this week, and it's just an odd normal week. But these are the weeks where I go, man. Like I look at him like, should I be podcasting every night of the week? You know, like, and if this was our full-time job, then absolutely. But it's like I also have my like actual job where I go, oh, you take that out, life's better. But it's with everything. So it's this has been the toughest year, but it's still figuring out. And like I said, I'm gonna write out, at least Travis told you, to 2024, and usually we'll do a town hall. And if I do anything with it, I'll kind of announce it there, but just kind of see for sanity reasons. So that's where I'm at right now with that question, Sam.
Mm-hmm. All work and no play makes Travis a dull
Yeah,
boy.
you guys were just my therapy session there for a second, but that's just a little buffer. Yeah.
That's exactly what this can be. Yeah, I'll piggyback up on there with the fact that
3-man piggyback right now. Got a man on a man.
it is, yeah. Travis on
Shay's
Taylor's
pregnant.
shoulders. I'm on
Taylor on his little noggin.
Yeah.
the little noggin. No, I mean, obviously it's tough to compare with some fathers in the crowd. That's a whole can of worms that I could never. It's not that I could never see myself doing it. It's just like I can't imagine how you can balance all of that just because I'm not doing it myself. I feel like once you're in it, then you can compare and all those things. But I will say this has probably been the hardest year personally too for the podcast. And I didn't have a child or anything like that, but I did switch careers this year. Like in September, I went back to school, which was an appropriate schedule. Like it wasn't too bad. I had like 3-day weekends, which was nice. It cleared up a lot of the podcast stresses there. But yeah, starting my new job, like these days, I'm regularly starting at 5:30 in the morning. And you know, like we usually start podcasts around the 8 o'clock slot. And this week has been heavy with like double cast. Fortunately, you know, you guys are very flexible a lot of the times. Like sometimes when it works out, we can start a little bit earlier. But man, like if you're doing a double podcast, then it's your turn to edit. Next thing you know, it's like 1 a.m. It's like, I'm up in 3 hours now. And like I'm also in a career now that's a lot more physical, whereas I can't just like, oh, I'm just at my desk like looking at emails, kind of doze off here and there. Like I gotta fucking bring it at work. And sometimes like unplanned extended days where it's like basically a 10-hour day of just physical labor, and I'm just physically worn out and then mentally drained too, of just like, you know, when the 8 o'clock comes around, we're talking on a subject. I can't just be sitting here. Yeah, like the early days of the podcast, Kirkland says 30 words or less on a cast. Like, but it's not even like, oh, I got to do this. I want to do it because it is just so fun to talk about. And I mean, once I'm here in the room, the magic just gets flowing and you totally get in that energy mindset. But it's just been, I think the hardest thing has been that adjustment of getting used to what this is, because like this is the hardest physical job I've ever had in my life. So like my body was just kind of adapting. I feel like now I'm kind of in that state where every single day I'm not just like my body is sore and like I'm just like fucking Norman Osborn at the end of Spider-Man. I'm just like dying after every day, because it was like that in the early days of it, where it's like, man, like I think I am gonna have to start skipping like more casts. I feel like now it's kind of plateaued in that sense. But yeah, no, it is a balancing act for sure. I've already mentioned like this week has been insane, just work wise, as well as the podcast schedule. Also just like personal stuff, like I'm looking to like get my own property now, so it's just that has its own can of worms. So yeah, it's been hectic, but manageable for sure. So getting back to the actual question that Sam asked, what even was that on there? Motivation. Yeah, I think it gets down to me where like it is hard work for sure, like what we do, just like the balancing of life stuff, as well as the consistency of it. But I've always loved that one quote where it's like, you enjoy what you do and you'll never work a day of your life. And I truly love this so much. It's just like on like with just take all like the money out of it and everything, just like getting time to sit down and talk to you guys about stuff that I'm passionate about with, you guys are passionate about it too. Obviously, we've already mentioned like the Discord and all of the people that listen to us and we can interact with, as well as like the GUA stuff, just all these like-minded people coming together. It's so beautiful to me. I don't want to get all sappy and emotional, but like it is just something that when I'm an old gray man looking back, it's like that is such a significant thing that we've actually done like in our lives. And like we've been doing it for 8 years now, but like, man, like I am so just grateful that I've had this opportunity with you guys, and just like I feel like I've just grown so much as a person. I feel like I've kind of said this every single anniversary cast. So I don't want to go on it too far, but yeah, it's just such a big thing
first
that
time,
yeah, and like I don't think I would trade it for anything. Like obviously, if it ever gets a point where I have to for my own well-being or like a family type thing, I would probably have to make that hard decision. But no, I truly love this, even though it gets difficult at times. Life isn't easy, and that's what makes life so impactful, so meaningful, I guess, is that it is a struggle, and just finding that balancing act is so important. But yeah, I think it's weird because also when I like talk about what I do for a podcast, like because this year I start a whole new career, so like meet new coworkers. I was talking about the podcast, and they just have so many questions like, how can you do that every single day and just talk about whatever? And it's just like, I don't know, I just do it, but like, fuck off. Fuck off. Yeah, don't talk to me.
Taylor,
I talk
he's quite aggressive over here.
But it's like it is hard, but it's hard to describe what it is, because it is hard, but it's not like I got to do that podcast. Like I do really, really want to do it, even though it is hard of the balancing act. I'm kind of struggling just explaining what it is, but for whatever reason, it's natural to me now. I think it's because we do it so often and have done it for a long time now. But yeah, it is a challenge, but I really wouldn't trade it. It's so important to me, and yeah, I love this so much, and the fact that like we are able to sustain somewhat financially off of it, it's just become super like more than just a hobby, like I always joke that like when people ask me about the podcast or whatnot, I'm like, yeah, that's my main, like my day job, that's my side gig, my real job is the podcast, because it's just what I'm so passionate about.
Business owner, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a business owner. Yeah, 100%. So I was kind of tangenting there. I was having a difficult time explaining some of the ways I'm thinking, but it's a difficult thing because not a lot of people do this. So to explain that to someone, it's tricky. But
just gotta
look
at them and say like stocks are down, revenues are up.
Gotta feed the geese.
Why would he say that?
Stocks are down.
Good for you. I still haven't at my job told people I podcast, because I just remember going. It's like a very office job, and just going and being like, "Yeah, I wouldn't mention that." All right.
I was never going to. I was never going to. I kind of slipped up because at a golf tournament I drank way too much and we were getting a little bit hammered, and that's when I was just going off. And the reason why it was,
I'm a big deal.
They might even be listening to this because now they got wind.
Spider-Verse, best movie of the year.
Shout out to Patrick. He's a good coworker of mine. He was telling me that him and his brother used to do a podcast, and it's funny that Sam was bringing up how you guys can do it for 8 years. Like that's crazy because Patrick and his brother, they had a podcast and they did it for like a year or so, but it was just hard to keep going because life happens, right? And maybe it's been very helpful that we have more than just 2 people.
Yes.
I feel like each of us have taken time.
We need a second.
Yeah, exactly. So that helps a lot. But yeah, no, it is a tricky thing. But yeah, no, that's how that came out. I was one drunken golf tournament night, and then of course everyone's there, and it just got out. But I am glad I got it out because it is really cool. It's one of those things too where it's like I don't know how someone's gonna maybe react to like what it is, but very, very positive reception, like overall. So really, really cool. Travis, you can do it.
Yeah, drunk. That's my first time, and then
no, you don't have to do that. Just tell your coworkers.
Well, that's the thing though nowadays, because I think it is starting to lessen, because I've even seen people that had big followings at one point kind of like throw in the town, stuff like that. But I feel like it's, for a while, it is everybody was in a band. So when you say you're a podcast, it's like, oh yeah. But it's like, and I'm not saying we're a big podcast, but it's like, oh, like we got a decent following, and like it is, like I said, it's a incorporated thing, everything like that. And I don't go into that depth, but it is actually something now where most people are just like, yeah, I do podcasts. And I think with not just the people, but also the fact that I think we were always smart. I think we always designed this from day one, but that it tackles many things, right? It's not just movies, not just games, not just TV shows. I think that helps because some people that they pick a podcast that's very specific, that can be good because you can find that dedicated audience, but that could also be very burnout too. You know, like I like that. I love talking about movies. I love talking about comic movies, stuff like that, but I like that we'll review a TV show or we'll get a random Margot Robbie retro, or you have something like Starfield coming out where it's like, oh, that's another sense of my fandom. I get to stretch that muscle out a little bit. So
I just want to say, like, I've always loved shouting out that I'm a podcast. I mean, that's the reason why I'm a graphic designer. Like, that's steamrolled me into that kind of like a career, going to school and stuff, doing like the thumbnails back in the day. And
that's what got you that point. You never said that to me.
Oh, absolutely. Because
wow.
Doing the design and the graphic imagery, I love doing it with the podcast. And so that's 110% what's like put me into this career. But I will just say, when you tell people like you have a podcast, you're going to probably get like 1 out of 3 times that person is, oh, you know, if you ever need a guest to come on the show. And they just
100%. I think it's higher
they
than,
know
than
someone
a third.
who's like,
Actually.
oh, this would be a perfect
Yeah.
person to bring on your show.
Like I won't say who because both parties won't be listening to this. But we were somewhere and we were talking about us filming, and the person just was like, you know, I know a guy who has drones, and it's like, oh, cool. Like we don't have any drones planned for the film. I didn't say like, oh, cool. If you know, like, yeah, just let so and so know, like. Yeah, great. Oh yeah, if you need
like,
drones.
oh yeah, I've been looking for a drone guy. That's perfect. Actually.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say too is what really got people's just shocked reaction was how long I've said we've been doing it. Because it's like, yeah, no, how long you been doing it? It's like, yeah, coming up on 8 years now, and then like that is what just really like blows their mind. Because as I said, my buddy Patrick, like he had his own podcast, and I think maybe Max did like two years max, and like he was just shocked that we were even still going, but also like just getting better at it, and also just getting more content, getting more followers, getting whatever it was. And yeah, it's a lot.
That's a shout out to the people, you know, again, for the support. So
100%.
Yeah, I think my answer to this might be the quickest because I'm very happy and in a good spot right now. I feel like I'm glad we had this conversation because obviously, Taylor, that's understandable that you have a lot going on right now. But to hear Travis and Kirkland say this has been the hardest year for you so far, like I'm glad we've had this conversation. But for me, like I feel like I'm kind of cruising right now. But like that element of does it, you know, get hard to stay? Is it hard to stay motivated? Like absolutely, and I experienced that in a huge way in kind of 2020 when we had to switch to the online recording format. Like that really like killed my interest in doing it. I did not enjoy it as much, and you can see that if you go back then. It was like a kind of unplanned hiatus. I just was doing less and less podcasts, and I don't know, did only a few in like that year and a half long span, and that really did help me in a way to just have a big break like that and to come back and be more motivated. But it wasn't just that break for me. It was that when I came back from that, I had like fixed a lot of the issues in my life and a lot of the imbalances. And now I'm in a very happy and stable relationship. And I've been climbing for a while. And so I've going, you know, climbing like 3 or 4 days a week. And I've readjusted my hours at my day job and stuff like that. So I feel like I have a really solid balance set up where I can do all that stuff and still work on some of my passion projects that I hope to show off sometime in the near future here. But yeah, so I'm doing pretty good right now. I feel like I've set up a nice balance for myself, but definitely the motivation comes and goes. And yeah, there are certain times when it is harder than others. And yeah, some weeks like it just all I'm doing is working and then podcasting, which is also work. So it's, you know, just working the whole week long. And but I don't know. But even like we've done that was one of those. This is one of those weeks. But I don't know. We're just really happy with the work that we've done this week. Like it feels good to come away feeling proud. Like I was really happy with our Wolf of Wall Street episode in particular. I thought we did a pretty exceptional and kind of like different style episode, and I was really happy with that. So it's cool to come out of a really busy week and just be like, oh, I'm happy with the creative work that we did this week. So yeah, I'm doing good right now. I'm happy. I have no like
Nice.
I don't really need to vent that much. I'm pretty happy right now. So I'm sure that will change though. So if we get this question again in the future, maybe I'll have some more turmoil to share. But right now, I'm pretty happy.
I feel like I'm on the Naomi with Captain Ted right now in that fucking hurricane. Eventually I'll get saved by the Italians, but yeah, it is
turbulence.
rough
Yeah, might be a
rough
little-
waves right now.
and at least I always say this too. Like I think probably for Kirkland the same. For me, it's all, and this is stress. It's all luckily just first world problems. It's not anything
Yeah.
like a family members like sick or like there's relationship problems. It's all just hey, really busy, lots of bounce, and it's just kind of the year of like I've said. Okay, I'm gonna take some time, see how this next year go, like the next till the end year goes, and recalculate. Okay, what can I move? What can I do? Because I'm the same as Dylan. Where now my hours are like a little bit different, but still there's a lot of times where right when my job's done, I'm cooking dinner. So before when I'm like, oh, I'll be home, I get podcasts right away. There's so many times like, oh, I gotta marinate this thing, I gotta do that. I'm like, that's why like I had a Travis told you this week. I'm like, no, I just can't. The upstairs was messy. I was like, as a responsible partner, I can't be that guy. Be like, oh, I'll get it later. And I'm like, no, I got to go upstairs and clean it and things like that. So that's where like adulting gets in. But luckily, it's all just balancing things out. It's nothing. So many people could have other issues and problems in life. So I'm very thankful and happy with things and the podcast. I'm very happy with whatever rate it's doing. But it's so it's just first world stuff. Luckily, so and I'll take that any day of the week. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really helps too that you three are very reliable, and the fact that we can be like, for example, this year and even just since I came back from that quote unquote hiatus, like I just go see a lot less movies than I used to, and for me that's like really good for my balance. And the fact that we can have this reliability between the four of us, that like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna bail on this thing, or like, I'm just not really feeling it, I had a long day, and some things like this, obviously we would, if one of us couldn't make it tonight, we would,
9 years.
we would delay the episode. And thankfully, even when those situations happen, even if it's an unforeseen thing, we can usually, okay, we'll slot in this thing instead, we'll do it here. And I mean, that's a really nice thing to have, because how many jobs do you have that situation where you just have a group chat and you can just change your hours kind of on the fly just based on how your life is going. So I feel like having that, to be able to count on you guys is fantastic, and hopefully we can all count on each other.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like that's something I like subconsciously appreciate, but then it's like, to actually like think about it, it's like, man, like all of you guys are fucking awesome. Like, whether it's filming stuff for a movie and someone, particular me, just completely forgets to like not double book myself. It's like, oh fuck, oh god, we're supposed to be filming tomorrow. Okay, no, sorry guys. Sorry guys, I fucked up here. Some jobs that's an immediate termination, but it's like, okay, no worries, we can figure it out here. So
here you just
big,
get kicked
big
out of the
credits here.
chat room for like 5 seconds. That's the worst.
We've all been kicked out
Reprimanding? What's the
by
fucking
Travis.
word? I can't
Yeah,
say.
reprimanded. Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's definitely like changed, at least with this. And I feel like even probably the early days with Dylan, it's like it was at his place, so it's like you had to be at every single cast, right? Like you had you had no choice, and if not, we were moving it. Where that is the pro about this, where it is okay. It's and the same thing when we started COVID for the first little while. Taylor was always in charge of doing the OBS, and that was like always added 15 minutes to like test everyone's mic and get that running up. And that's where like again, that's because of you guys' support, we can do things, and that's where I always say the stuff all something goes back to the podcast. StreamYard, it's not a cheap thing, and you guys provide that, and that helps us create a lot more time and be stress free, because we can just hop in a room and go, and just have some small talk and then go. Where before, whether it was even at Dylan's place before, where like it was like same thing, like we'd have a time, and sometimes we're still late here, but I feel like there's usually like 5-10 minutes. Oh, there's times people drive in, they get stuck in traffic, you're sitting there, and now it's like 25 minutes later, and you're in a bad mood because you said you'd be home at this time with your sig fig, and you're not, so it's just like so that is, I think that's good now where we are, where I feel like definitely the first 3 years it's like, oh, we always got to be on the cast, and if someone misses, it's a big deal. Where now it's like, because we do so much, it's like, and that's where I think we always make sure there's usually, I'd say, one episode a week that features all of us, but you'll probably get a bunch of others like side quests or invasion or newscast where one or two might be missing, but it's okay because you got 8 years of us now, and like then when we're together, it's that much more special. So
it's funny how our schedules have transitioned at the start, where our only real main, I mean, obviously we had significant others, but our only real main biggest commitment at the time was just working at Target. Other than that, it was just like we were playing games.
Well,
no,
the podcast was after Target. Remember?
I guess that's right.
Rise from the ashes.
Remember, I was at my next job. Like literally, I was at my next job, and like, I don't know, it's just such a cemented memory. And then like that's when it's like, oh, let's do a podcast. And I just remember in that moment, it's just in my life, those crossroads. It's like if I said no in this switch, like where I would have been in my life or whatever, and just been like, yeah, why not? I'm single, like nothing else to do. I don't even know what a podcast is. Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
meet Travis until like Target was closing, and we were doing like a let's go play laser tag, like see you later
Yeah.
sort of
Wow.
thing. And then I drove him home, and then here we are, 8 years or
That's when you
probably
fucked.
9 years later. I don't know how to math it.
Yeah, that night, yeah, whole Target
Yeah, brought up
blew
the
out.
little noggins. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and that's been the best thing. Like, that's been the best thing. Like, that's where the motivation is good because I think almost what Kirk was talking about. It's the stuff around the podcast that can be hard. It's the scheduling. It's like this day, and it's not hard, but just like, okay, this day doesn't work. How could we do this? Okay, there's a double. We do mass records. Okay, I got to watch this amount of stuff in this day. Oh shit, my dad's coming in town, so that day doesn't work. Like, okay, I got to stay up till like 2 a.m. now to watch these fucking X-Men episodes, which I like doing. But it all goes away when you sit down because like you three are like some of my best friends and stuff like that, and I talk to you guys the most. Like it's you three and Kyle, you know. Like, and I have other friends too, but it's just like that's been the good thing with this part. And I talk to you guys even more than Kyle. Like, it is just at the end of the day, once we get into it, it's sitting down talking about stuff that we always did before. So. Well, thank you,
Man.
Sam, for what-
Good question. Yeah.
yeah, that
We
went on
needed
for a
it.
little bit,
We
yeah.
needed it.
Apparently, yeah.
I had to pull this up. I was giggling to myself because when we were talking about the early days of COVID, just fucking made me laugh at this memory. I had to pull up an image for just the early
course.
Kirkland cam. Like
For everyone that's not watching, it's a classic. Go watch the Batman trailer reacts. We did it on the Fandom. One of our biggest videos ever. And Kirkland's looking like the fucking Unabomber, hidden. He's looking like he's doing it like I've been captured tape.
it's just the darkest. Like I don't even have a name on. Like everybody else has their name on there. It's just I'm in a basement somewhere. Please
That's the
find
IT
me.
guy. Yeah. That's the guy setting up the stream for sure.
Find me. Yeah.
You had that
I
for a
love it.
long time. That
Oh, yeah.
downwards angle. Where you were,
Terrible. You guys should have fucking not invited me on a cast until I got
Well,
a
we
new
didn't know it
camera
was
on
gonna
that one.
be permanent, you know. But
That's
we all
true.
changed
That's
it.
true,
We all got
yeah.
our own
But
mics.
now look, you got
got
the Venom
camera.
poster. You got a dog.
Yeah.
And fairy lights behind you.
Decent. Hopefully a better podcast room in the near future. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. Thank you very much, Sam. On to now this time super bad Mike says, I got 2 questions for you, hopefully some juicy conversation. Over the course of the podcast, which review or opinion of a certain piece of media have you changed significantly the most mindset from since recording? And 2, what has been your earliest celebrity crush and what did they first come from? So Kirk and Patzer, I'll start
Yeah.
with you because I feel like the latter I think I know that answer because I think maybe it's come up once or twice on these.
Yeah,
these
this one was
times, yeah.
pretty easy to answer, which would be Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. I guess it would have been former.
Crush.
I was.
That was your first.
I'm always get confused
Oh,
with that saying.
Gamora,
The
that
former
green-
versus the
The
latter.
latter is the last
every
thing you
single
heard.
time. It's just like which one is which. It's like the gif with the chick and the math, like the numbers,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
symbols. Every
Yeah.
time I hear former and latter.
There you
I'm
go.
just like, the
Kirkland
first
didn't have
or
a crush
second.
till 2012.
Yeah.
Even though
Oh,
he didn't
yeah.
like the movie, but that was still,
Yeah.
that was his takeaway. Yeah.
I was like, that Chris Pratt, my gosh, look at that guy. But yeah, no, so starting at the top of the question, I guess it would have been the former, would be Guardians of the Galaxy for me. I remember, at like an early Dylan's parents' house party, the classic, where it's just, everybody was talking about Guardians, like, no, I didn't really care for it. And that was like my mindset for a good amount of time. And I think I like rewatched it too, and like still didn't love it, and then it was something that really just grew on me later on. I don't really know what it was on like those early viewings. Maybe I just like was not giving it justice. Like I probably just, I don't know, had it on, because I didn't see it in theaters, that's for sure. I was on Netflix or wherever I was watching it, maybe like half on my phone for it, like just really not giving it my full attention, and then later on just really getting into the groove with everything that they did in that movie. And now it's like I see it, I regard it so highly. It's one of the best like I guess origin stories for superhero superhero movies. So love that movie now, but that's one that I've like polar opposite. Like I started just really not liking it at all, and I was like, why does everybody love this movie? Like it's just, I don't know, it's I was like in that camp, which is just funny looking back on it now. But yeah, my celebrity crush, it's been kind of brought up before. My first time where I'm like, man, I think I like girls would have been the classic Aladdin, Jasmine, Princess Jasmine. I don't know what it was. I was really vibing with the Jasmine. I think I had like a dream about Jasmine. It's just like, who is that? Who is that female out there?
Her Jafar outfit or her like classic outfit?
with the blue, the
Blue?
blue, and I like blue's my favorite color, so that's probably like a big reason for it. A big defender of blue out there, but
Blue does not need defense. I feel like blue well defended in the
Yeah.
history of favorite colors.
I was trying to think of like my first like human crush, just to not make it too weird or anything like that. And I remember being really just fonding over. Is that a word, fonding? I don't know.
Sure.
I was crushing over Hermione Granger in those early Harry
Yeah.
Potter days. I was just, around that age. Travis is older than me, so he doesn't get it. But I was loving Harry Potter as they were coming out in movies,
wait
and
a
just
second here.
seeing Emma Watson age as I was aging. It was a good one.
Big
Emma Watson's
big booster
older
for
than
you.
me. You're trying to make it sound like I would have been some creep for liking her. Like I would have been younger than her watching that movie.
She was a child.
Yeah, Travis, come on.
No, I was making a face because I always thought it was Kimberly. I thought for so many times you had said Kimberly from Power Rangers was your number.
The Pink
one.
Power Ranger, yeah,
Yeah. I guess I was
Yeah.
wrong. I heard some other ones.
it's a good one.
There
It's
you
a
go.
good one too.
Yeah, Mr. Muss.
Could be better, apparently. I think for the thing that has changed the most, it was honestly, this was a hard one for me to think of, but I ultimately think my answer is Star Wars. I know I'm always hating on Star Wars these days, but like I had a lot of nostalgia. I love those movies growing up, and then I just didn't really revisit them much. But when we were going into Force Awakens, that was such a hype time of the podcast, just leading up to a new Star Wars movie. It felt like just a once in a lifetime kind of thing, even though we got several movies in the years to come afterwards. But yeah, I still remember that opening night and going there and being so excited and loving the movie and have a good time on the review, talking about it and all that stuff. And then, yeah, I feel like since then, like Star Wars in general, I've just like soured on, and even soured like past to just everything Star Wars, not even just the new stuff, but everything Star Wars. I'm just so sour on it. And even Force Awakens, I know is a movie that every time I've rewatched it, I've disliked it more each time, just little bits, but enough that it's like definitely gone down. So that would probably be the one for me. Or I also think of like DC things in general, because I don't even know if I'd call myself a hater, just like disinterest, I guess. And I still kind of feel that way, but then I think about it, I'm like, man, I love the Batman, I love the Joker. Those are like some amazing.
You've liked
phenomenal,
more
like,
stuff in the back
top-tier
half of
movies.
GV, I feel, like of DC.
Yeah.
Like, I think, didn't you like,
mean, I've
like
given
Suicide
it-
Squad enough? Like the James
Because
Gunn
I mean, it's
one?
not like it's like something growing up. It's not like I was against it or something. I just never
Yeah.
even really engaged much to DC content. It didn't really like call out to me. So yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I think I was even fairly positive on Suicide Squad on the review. I feel like the first
2016 one? Yeah, not too bad. I think you said it was like a fun enough movie.
Yeah, and
see, they made that graph.
I've never rewatched it, so I don't know how I feel about it today. Obviously, we bag on it a lot and some things that happen there. But yeah, I guess that's maybe a bit of a surprise one for me. That's kind of gone in unexpected directions there. Yeah, and then for the first earliest celebrity crushes, this one's kind of tricky. I think of like, I don't know, because I grew up out watching like Family Channel, like Disney stuff all the time, and I don't know, like the older sister in Life with Derek, I feel like was like very cute to me. Like I don't know,
Life with
I
Derek.
think it's a Canadian show, so most of our listeners probably don't know what I'm talking about. I feel like also like Lizzie McGuire probably had like a crush on Lizzie or something like that. Hermione for sure, and I can randomly remember that
Careful.
one. Yeah, I mean I was a kid at the time. Okay, I was a kid.
Apparently
too.
I wasn't. Apparently I was like a man.
You were 30, but I was 8. One of the girls in like School of Rock, I remember having like a crush on for a few years. I watched that movie like all the
Joan
time.
Cusack, teacher.
No idea. No idea what the person's name is. But yeah, those are
was
kind of the
not
ones
that
that come to mind. And then when I was a bit older, this is not really answering the question anymore, but like Katy Perry, I definitely had a big crush on her for a few years. And then randomly, I wanted to share this one. Serinda Swan, who's just this actress who you probably don't know, but she was cast as the live action Medusa, like in the Inhumans show. But there was a show that I watched of her in like high school, and I just like had a huge crush on her in that time. So I don't think she's really gone into much, and I don't think I ever saw her in anything else. But I can still remember those days of having a crush on her. So
They didn't bring
She
her
was
from
in
Multiverse
Marvel's
of
The
Madness.
Inhumans.
He just said that.
did you even listen to what I'm saying, Taylor?
I missed the Marvel's
Medusa.
Inhumans part.
He literally said
I
Medusa.
heard Medusa
From Inhumans.
Oh, from Inhumans. I thought you said
Jesus,
something else.
Taylor. No, it's
Some
good.
things never change.
No.
She was also in the second Top Gun Maverick movie, Devotion.
Oh,
Excuse
right.
me?
Okay. I was very
Okay.
confused for a second. Yeah.
With Glenn Powell.
There's a movie that just it's Top Gun Light and stuff, but yeah, I'll go because the Superbad Mike I think would know this. My crush, it's always been Fight for Always was same thing. That was The Awakening, so it goes down classic, and I hope to get to meet her at some point in my life and share that story, and her be like, okay, cool, and then walk away. But I need
Let's
to fulfill
fuck.
that moment.
Put away your little noggin.
Yeah. Emily, I'm throwing in my one IOU. And then there's not too many, honestly, as far as opinions that have changed. I feel like they all go in like ebbs and flows of like a little lower, a little higher. Because there's stuff where I always go like, oh yeah, Rise of Skywalker, where I go, oh, I should have failed that. But then I remember sometimes I go, oh, but I like this. So it's the same thing as when we reviewed it. Like I'm still very torn on it. So there's stuff that I'm still not decided upon years later. But I guess probably the two, like a recent one, because I watched it this week and I pulled up my letterbox and it was a 4, and I was like, oh, why didn't I give this like a 5? And we did the retros. I think I talked about this with you guys off. It was Interstellar, because I feel like I've always had some issues with that. But some reason I watched it this week and I was like, man, like this is like a 10 out of 10. I think it was just more the scope. Maybe it's just because lately we've gone so many bad movies with effects wise. When you see this thing now, it's just like, you thought it's not like video games where they continue to get better. It's like you look at 2000, I'd say like 8 to 2018, and it probably starts to peter off of the back half. You just thought, oh, this is going to get better and better. But when you watch Interstellar, there's so much just visually, and that's where I go, just as a movie, this is just such a piece of art. So there's that. And then honestly, it's not just because like I have more friends at Community and I go on Vodka Stream. It is the Snyder movies, just because it's the twofer of one. When the whole pitch was that wasn't going to be the new cinematic universe, Snyder was just going to do the 5 movies and be done. I wish they would have just done that, because we would have avoided all this controversy and just been done with it. And that's something where I like these movies a lot more, knowing, oh, it's like just a mini kind of what if, not even what if tale, but just a mini tale, and we're going to move off. For me, I was always like, and I would still say that Man of Steel and BVS for me were never the great, like, hey, this is our next 20-year franchise. But now knowing, oh, that wasn't the plan, but then they kind of pulled the chute in. Also, it was Zack Snyder's Justice League, where I liked Man of Steel. I liked BVS a lot. Oh, actually, sorry, I was Man of Steel. I liked BVS, but Justice League I loved. And I think it's just because Snyder does a lot better when you just give him, okay, I'm going to have 4 hours to play with, and you got to flesh out so much. And those movies retroactively now has made the other movies, not Squad, just the Snyder directed ones, better when you kind of see it as a whole picture. So those are the only ones. But even then, like BVF, I didn't give a fail back in the day. So those are just like the only ones. But opinion wise, have pretty much stayed mostly the same on stuff. So, Mr. Field.
Suicide Squad. I'd go back and I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, right.
That's the one.
Finally, all these years later.
We haven't.
Do
let
I
this
like
one
it
down.
more than James Gunn's version? Yes, I do. I'll stand by that. But
oh.
Oh
I wouldn't-
gosh.
I wouldn't give it the
Controversial.
10 out of 10 status.
It's fair.
Now, if you know me, you know. I mean, you know. What started for me,
You know.
you know, little Taylor, he was watching Sky High, the
That's
burnt
little
copy that
Little
my
Taylor.
grandfather gave me back in the day, because grandparents were always so good at doing that kind of stuff. You know, every grandparent had like the VHS recorder, and they were just recording TV movies at the time. So I got Sky High,
Not mine.
and oh my goodness, Royal Pain just sent me to the promised land. Holy shit, Mary Elizabeth Winstead was just absolutely phenomenal in that film.
Hmm.
Oh,
With the music
my-
too.
Oh, I was
They have
just,
that, yeah.
yeah, that's I was just like, I was in the zone. Oh my god, there's no pulling me out of that.
You can
Little
find
noggin.
it on,
Little noggin was raising that
Yeah.
day.
yeah, you can find it somewhere. I think for the Palestine charity, we did a stream of it, or we did a commentary track. Shout out to these two, because I
Travis
fucking
was
passed out. And I was bummed, because I actually really wanted to watch it with the group and everything, but it was just one of those of like, I'm exhausted. I just remember trying. I'm like, okay, I'm gone. It wasn't even a 24-hour stream. It was just whatever we were doing that day. But you can go find it somewhere. Then maybe I'll have to cut out one day, and we did com track. So
Shortly after the follow up to that, I was introduced to Underworld and Kate Beckinsale. Oh,
Yeah.
like
There with you.
like mature Taylor was like ready for this. Like it was good.
You
And when
hit
you got to
puberty
that
that day.
sequel, like Underworld Evolution, and that barn scene, like this is like Taylor's first like probably like first experience, like just like this kind of thing, like oh my god, like yeah, vampire hybrids, just
Hybrid. You love a good hybrid.
oh yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Kirkland.
100%. No, I'm 100% with you. And you kind of reminded me too. Like I remember being big Angelina Jolie fan, and like that first Tomb Raider movie. There, I remember. I remember, yeah, little impressionable Kirkland. I had like some fucking TV from the 80s on like VHS, and I had that movie, and I just remember like, you know, the classic, making sure no one's coming, close the door, A/B repeat, getting ready. Like, there's a scene when she's like getting into the shower. You don't even see anything. It's not even nudes or anything like that. But yeah, there was some moments spent with that scene for sure.
A/B repeat, man. Yeah.
Noggins
The World
are out.
Evolution. Yeah, that had a good A/B repeat. Yeah. Oh, thank you very thank you very much, Superbad Mike. Always good seeing in the Discord. And again, another situation where we always talk and stuff and maybe have disagreements, but it's always like good, fun back and forth conversation. That's what I love about everybody in the Discord. So this is a quick one that we will explain. S-Bubs, what is the origin of It's Over For You? So, and I even tried to find on the Google and I couldn't. And I don't know, was this... Dylan, were you around this era when this popped up? So I don't even know if it was.
I am excited to hear the answer because
Yeah.
I don't think I know the answer to this question.
So all it was, and I don't know if it was during a COD, I don't know if it was during like a right before we're about to go air and we dropped a meme, because that happens every once in a while that someone drops a meme mid-podcast and the fuckers don't wait and then you try to see if you can break somebody. So I don't know if Kirkland's looking right now, but
I'm just gonna try and find it while you go.
it's so old, and I looked at Google, but it was a meme going around, and it was like, imagine if it was like a liked Twitter thread that trended everywhere. And it was like, imagine you're a girl. So imagine your boyfriend is Spider-Man, and the way you find out his identity is you wake up in the middle of the night to the Green Goblin on his glider in the corner of your room pointing at you saying, "It's over for you." And like, it's not even the funniest thing, but what happened was, like I said, either before a cast or during a cast, it was us just talking about that actual situation of in real life. Imagine if you, like, you know, Dylan, you wake up and you didn't know Muzz was a superhero, and you just wake up to a villain in your corner just saying, "It's over for you." Like, for me, just finding, like, I appreciated the meme. I appreciated the situation of that would be quite a fucking mind for, because always in the movies they usually find out, you know, because the hero tells them. But in this situation, if you're to find out by just waking up and the most notorious villain is in your room, threatening your life, in the glider on the corner and stuff like that, or on the glider in the corner, and we just started going, and then we just adopted that "it's over for you." And I feel like it's one of those things that you try to explain it, but it's like kind of had to be there. But it's just from there on, and that's been going, probably somewhere around COVID time. It's over for you many times. I say that's still in life, and "it's over for you" is going to stick with me till the day I die, because I'm somebody
Is
that
that going to be written on your tombstone? That'd be a good thing.
it's
to
over
have
for
on
me.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just one of those with jokes and memes. I always like to dive like 4-dimensional and be like, hey, I want to actually put myself in the position. And that's what I mean. Just me waking up to a villain yelling, "It's over for you." That'd be awful, because you'd have no
Picturing,
idea.
like the first day you get a VR headset, you just like experience some memes in the fully immersive.
What do you want? Give him the memes deck. But yeah, no, that was it. And it's just one of those we laughed and laughed. And one day I'll cipher through, because I think we did talk about it on the cast one time. But yeah, that's the origin. It's over for you. So I'm sorry, S-Bubs, if it didn't live up, or if it did live up. But yeah, and maybe so if we can find it at some point, because I'll look this weekend too, we'll drop it in the Discord memes chat, or maybe just the main chat, so we can show what you're talking about. But it says, yeah, "it's over for you." It's just been, it's stuck. It's one of those ones that sticks, you know, like GV Big and stuff. So. Okay, Madeline, aka Muds. How do you say? Should I even say her last name? Should I not say it on there?
You can say it.
Muds. Well, how do you?
You can
okay, then
try.
how do you say it? How do
You
say
try.
It? Smickless.
It is close. Smitchkless.
Smitchkless. Okay, there you go. There's a couple of
It's
silent G's in there.
Croatian, so there's some weird chuz and things like that in there.
That's not even that's like a different planet, Croatia. I've never heard of that before. But there you go. Where is it located?
You've never heard of Croatia, even when I told you about it, like recently when I went there. You weren't listening.
I thought you
were
went to
pulling a Taylor.
Scotland and saw the Ogopogo.
Oh yeah.
No, I know you went to parts of Europe, but I think I've heard of Croatians then. Yeah, I think I've heard.
Okay,
of
you know where Italy is?
yeah, sure.
Or do you know what
boot.
Italy looks like?
Yeah.
The
You know,
boot. Yeah,
Italy,
yeah.
there's like
It's like a
water
boot.
around it, right? Just
Yeah.
like directly northeast of Italy is
Okay.
Croatia. So
Does she have any family there? Did you guys find them?
we met roughly 25 family members there.
Whoa!
Yeah,
That's
and that was a great
cool.
time. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, she sends in, congrats on the 8 years. If you could be a guest on any podcast, who would it be, and what would you?
That's
want
not
to
the
talk
question.
about?
That I
Sorry.
agree.
Question at all.
Who would, if you could have any guests on the podcast, who would it be, and what would you want to talk to them about? I also have to pull the Kirkland where I misread it, but that's fine. I'll go last. And I'm
Which
gonna let
podcast
Dylan-
do you want to guest on, though? I'm curious.
How This Get Made for sure. That's my go-to. That like we had a closest equivalent of that when we did Netflix and Fail, and that's just I love Jason Mantzoukas. It's 3 friends now. 2 of them are married. They just get together. They watch terrible movies and they just talk about how this get made. And it is all like that is a podcast that I'm guaranteed, even if I've not seen the movie. Usually the episodes are only an hour and 15, but I'm gonna be bursting out laughing at some point. It's just a combination of those 3 having such good chemistry. So
Have you ever listened to How Did This Get Played? Which is like,
no.
I think, inspired by that idea, but it started out as them doing that, where they would just. It's the same thing, video games, but for like really bad
Oh,
games.
okay. No, I never
Now it's
did.
called. They rebranded. I think it's called Just Get Played now.
Oh, licensing, yeah. Probably came after them.
I don't know. I think they might have just done it to, because maybe that name started as like a meme or a reference, and they wanted to differentiate themselves. Also, a good podcast. It's very
Yeah,
funny.
and they probably come a little bit under in the search engine too, so it's probably smart. But there you go. No, I'd have to check
Yeah.
that out. I never heard
I think
about
it's pretty
that,
big
but
though. Yeah, but probably
Okay.
still below that.
Yeah, Mr. Muss.
Yeah, I first thought like kind of grounded, and for me, I would love to just because I listen to a lot of gaming podcasts, and I would love to have someone from those that I really enjoy, like just to talk to them about random video games for like a couple hours. It'd be so much fun. So someone like Alana Pierce or Greg Miller or Leo Vader, someone like that, like from all their separate podcasts, but I really enjoy all of them. But of course, the answer that maybe is obvious, it would be Jack Black. I think having Jack Black on the podcast would be incredibly fun. He would just be, he just has such an energy. I think would be great. And because there's a lot of people, like it's different. This is a different question from like the classic, like, okay, who, if you have dinner with one person, dead or alive, from all time, who would it be? You know, that
Lincoln.
classic. Yeah, so Travis would pick Lincoln, but like that's very different for the podcast because I'm trying to think about like, okay, well, how would I? There's certain people I'd love to talk to Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, but I don't think that would make a good podcast, and I would probably not be very good at talking to him on a podcast format.
Have it on
But
after 9. You know, chill out.
that would be a
talk-
good time, yeah. So I'll get him to subscribe to our Patreon, and then he'll jump on an episode. But I feel like Jack Black would. It probably wouldn't. I'd probably be so starstruck, but I feel like it would be easy. Just to talk to him about like, I don't know, Mario and stupid stuff. And I mean, I'd probably just talking about Tenacious D the whole time, which is not a really GeekVerse centric thing. But my God, there's just so many. I have so many friends who are just all constantly like, dropping like Tenacious D one-liners and references and stuff like that. And I would just love to talk to him because he's such a great individual. So that would definitely be my just, the sky's the limit kind of pick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Taylor.
Like honorable mention, I'd have to say like Nick Cage. I feel like I could have a lot of fun with that.
Oh,
I would just
honorable.
wanna-
I feel like he'd be great. We'd have so much fun with Nick Cage.
we would have a
man.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'd want to touch base with him on like all of like his films and just like what it was like and just.
And we could
what it was
talk
like
him
on
into doing
set and
our
stuff.
movies. I think some of the stuff
Oh,
he's
I think
done.
so.
We
I
could
think
talk
so.
him into it. You know.
I think so. But my main
play
actual Nick Cage's Bigfoot for sure. No, he'd be like a park ranger or something.
Oh my God! Someone make that movie now. Nick Cage versus Bigfoot. Let's go. Come on.
But my main pick would have to be Dave Filoni. I would really want to just not even kidding. I want to pick his brain.
That's a
just how
proper
he
Taylor pick.
Comes up with
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
Comes up with his like Star Wars creativity and how he just tries to build up like the legacy that George Lucas created with Star Wars, just where he gets his ideas.
I'll
and just,
sit out of that episode. I'd probably ruin the vibe a little bit.
Filoni phony. That's what I'd be throwing
Yeah,
out.
I would just be heckling him the whole
There
time.
you go. I'd ask him too if I could get a cowboy hat signed by him.
Because
Or
Taylor's
just
big
his.
wear of cowboy hat.
Does he like
takes it.
notoriously wear cowboy hats or
Yeah,
something?
that's his
Yeah.
go-to. Yeah.
Classic. I would
Yeah.
heckle him about that for sure. On the
Got a horse? No. Then why you got that fucking hat?
Does he wear one in one of the episodes too? Like when he's at the bar, I can't remember if
He might in the bar, yeah. Not when he's the ex-pilot.
Mando or both, yeah. in the X-wing, yeah. Instead of
Yeah.
a helmet, he's just wearing a cowboy.
No, it would be big for the podcast. At first, like, oh, I don't know, but I would love to like funly debate him the same way you and I do, but obviously with him different, being like the right hand man of George Lucas, to kind of give some of my not issues, but just like, hey, explain to me the mindset you have on this issue, whether I agree with it or not, and stuff. So, yeah, that's her.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple that I'd want to pick, like my favorite musical artists or something like that, just to pick their brain on like where they get some of the inspiration. But I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough on music to like really have a good conversation with. I would just like want them to talk and just absorb it. So like I'd want to be in the crowd, so that would be a bad pick. Another one that like just struck me, this gentleman since passed away in 1973, so I missed the the mark big time. He's my favorite philosopher of all time. His name's Alan Watts. He's like an expert in Eastern like just religions and stuff like that, and like
That
taking
would have been
it.
something.
Yeah,
After
and
9.
that's another one too, where like I could just hear him talk and he'd blow my mind, and like he's just he's dead now, obviously, but like I think I'd be able to have a good conversation with him because it would mostly just me asking questions that like basically about life, and I feel like he's just a Buddhist. He could like or sorry, no, he's like a Buddha where he just has like all these just all this knowledge to share, and I would just want to talk for like 8 hours with him. That'd be the longest episode of all time. But the one that I ended up picking is one of my favorite people, like one of my favorite celebrities of all time, none other than the great and powerful Elijah Wood. I share the birthday with him, January 28th, best day of the year. I just love him so much. I feel like he's just such a positive individual. Every time I like see an interview with him, I'm just smiling. Like he just seems like the most wholesome and like just honest and well thought out person, or well thought out. He's well-meaning person. That's what I meant to say. And I would just love to just chat with him. Like I feel like, yeah, I'd probably be starstruck. I like to imagine that I'd be able to stand my own and have a good conversation with him, just asking about some Lord of the Rings things, as well. Like he just has so many different interests, whether it's music, the movies that he's making in his production company, and just like what kind of gets him or what he's interested in, as well as just everything. Like he's a big food guy. Like just ask about like just certain dishes and where they get or like where he's had them, just his certain types of, I don't know, favorite spice. Like there's just so many things that I'd want to talk to this guy about. I just love Elijah Wood so much. He's that one celebrity that I feel like when it eventually gets that day when he passes, like I'm just gonna be bawling for like 3 days. Like I just love Elijah Wood so much, and it's one of those like I Lord of the Rings is my favorite franchise ever, and it's crazy that like one of my favorite characters being Frodo, like the actor is actually just such an amazing person as well. Like you never want to think that like your favorite character or actor is a piece of shit. Sometimes that happens in real life, but like Elijah Wood is not that character, not that individual. So I'd love to have him on the GeekVerse podcast out there. But Elijah, if you're listening, I will pay you to get on. I don't have much to give you, sir, but I'll throw a 20 your way.
Throw you a GV shirt, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you some of my share in the podcast.
All right, so I kind of it's cheat because I have 3. I have like the meme / fun time pick would just be Mads Mikkelsen, because I feel like he was our early like first love in like that 2015 era. Just Mads, always wanted
Save
him
Hannibal.
stuff. Yeah, Save Hannibal, #Save Hannibal. He was in Rogue One, so it's just like that 2015-16. It was Hannibal was coming to an end, so it was all this stuff. So he'd be more like the after 9 pick of like I'd love to get him in there, a couple drinks, and just see what he'd talk about and everything like that. Ask him what his favorite like Halloween candy is, and just what is that? But
Just
anyways.
a movie where he's like binge drinking the whole time. It would be like that.
Yeah, just watch stuff with them. So there's that one, and then there's like for the podcast, like big blow up thing. I think I just would be fascinated to get Kevin Feige in one of these StreamYard rooms, just talk to him about, and hopefully it'd be like a good. That's why I'd never. That's something I never have any interest in this podcast becoming. Maybe if it would, and we had to hire people to do that, it's fine. But I have no interest in like the red carpet, the quick 5-minute like talk to celebrity, like sit down with the like. I've never had any interest in those interviews. I don't tune into them. It's those interviews where it is a celebrity sitting down for an hour plus, and that's where I'd want Feige. If it's like, I could stop for 10, 15 minutes, sure, of course it'd be great, but it's like, no, I'd want, and not just drill them, but the MCU, just other things in general, just whether it's high and lows of the career, lots of stuff too about like I don't feel like people enough talk to him about his early years pre-MCU. Like, hey, what have you taken from them? Like, what was the sign? Were you ever on the set and be like, man, this is like, you knew it was not working. You made a check in your mind, like, hey, never do this ever again. Like, I'd love to pick his brain on that type of stuff because whatever you feel at the MCU now, it's highs and lows, like with phase 4 and 5 for some people. For me, there's a couple lows, but it's still just like, it's always going to go down this crazy thing they pulled off. And same thing, like we talked about the podcast, like I just asked, like, has it ever set in like that Endgame run? You know, like at one point you were the biggest movie, you took down Avatar. So there's things. And then for like the personal pick that I think all of us would have something to talk to them about is Nolan. I think there's just like, that would be Nolan to me is like, that's one that would like scare me because that's something that would so be intimidating. But as my favorite director, I think maybe a couple of you, either he's one of yours, if not your favorite as well. It's just, I'd have so much of multiple films I'd want to ask him. Obviously for me, lots of Dark Knight stuff, but just that would be the most scared I'd ever be to be like, hey, you're going to be in a room with Nolan for an hour and go. And he doesn't do many of those, right? The only time he does those is, and I would love them when he sat down with Scorsese or him and Tarantino have a really good one where they sit down and talk. But I feel like with the press, he's very much, he keeps them at arm's length for not bad reasons, but just like he's a busy guy. So I would love to, anytime he does do long interviews, like I think he did one with Josh Hurwitz, I always seek them out because he's just such a fascinating guy. And yeah, so those would be my ones. So
Nice.
thank you very much, Mads, for the question. And hope the trip was good. You know, I know I've seen you before.
To an unknown land.
Yeah, to an unknown land. I'm
that
going
we've
to go
never
there
heard of
now.
before.
Maddie says he has 3 of them, but this will be a quick one because he's always obsessed with us. Who would be good in what sort of situation? And I'll go first here. Who's the best mini golf in GV Crew? Now we've never done that, so that makes me think that next time Dylan's in town or when everyone's free, we should go do Scania and do a mini golf because in 8 years
record it too to have video evidence for Maddie who wins.
That's
or
true.
Just give him the scorecard. I guess that's easy.
Who I think I would just have to go with Kirkland as me and him have faced off in the stream last year, and I did beat him, but it was relatively close. But again, that chip shot now it is all digital and Wii U, but I've seen how he handles himself, so I feel like he's good under pressure in those tight situations. So I'll pick Kirkland, who I think would be the best at it. So I got hiccups.
I feel like I'm a solid like 6.75 out of 10. Like I'm better than average, but I'm not exceptional. So I'd be surprised if it was me. I guess I'm setting the bar not on the floor, but like low enough that I think one of you could eclipse me. But who's it going to be?
I don't know what Taylor's
do you think
feeling,
it's
but
yourself?
I also picked myself. It was like me all caps in this one. Like any challenger, I think I'm taking it.
all
When I go to
about you, huh?
Scandia, it's like it's pretty common, not multiple holes, but like pretty common when I go to Scandia, which is our local arcade type thing with mini golf here, if you didn't know that. I get a hole in one at least on one hole. Like I don't know what it is. I used to be a golfer in my heyday, not like a pro or anything like that, but I would go sometimes.
Are you good at the thing at the end where you have to like, if you get a really specific snipe shot, you get like a free game or something?
I've gotten that twice in my life. Once at my
that's
own
impressive.
birthday, which like I like hit it and didn't see it, and then
That
the
must
ticket
be
came
like
out.
one of the highs of your whole life. On your birthday,
It really
Elijah
was,
Woods
'cause-
over there, like fucking
Yeah,
doing Mario
exactly.
Kart or
The
go-karts.
crowd was going wild. All my friends were there. Yeah,
Gets
all the
the
celebrities showed up.
Kirkland.
It's like
They
that scene in
lifted him
Tenacious
up.
D when he's like pictures like what it would have been like if he got the pick. He's just imagining it. That's basically what it was. And then another time, Shay was evidence. She saw it. I got it in there. So
Nice.
yeah, I feel like I just have proper, like I've actually done like golf lessons too, so I feel like that helps me as well, just proper technique. Sometimes I get a little impatient, so I don't like take the time to really like focus on my shots. But mini golf is one of those things that it's not regular golf. Like you could be a really good golfer and still suck ass at mini golf because you might think that you get the right shot. Sometimes like, you know, the ones where you get into like the random hole and then it'll shoot somewhere else on the track somewhere or on the course, whatever you call it. I'm mixing up my sports lingo there, but like sometimes it can be random. So it's never like guaranteed. But I think of like best of 7 series, I'm picking myself. I don't think it's a sweep or anything like that, but I'm pretty confident in my ability for mini golf there. But I mean, this could be something that I'm just overconfident on, and we actually test this, and I'm awful. But you know, this is just who we think is the number one, and I personally think I'm the number one.
Taylor's smirking over there. I think he might feel like he's a sneaky.
My
I
Tiger
personally
Woods
think
copy.
I'm the number one. You know, Kirk, when you said
We gotta
you've gotten
do this,
that,
man.
you've gotten that twice. I got 3 pieces
Oh,
here.
he has them right in his hand.
I
Oh
love
my
that. I
God.
love that final hole. Like
He
it was
literally one up
Wow.
you there. Get
He
fucked,
did one up me.
Kirkland. Taylor wins. Where are
I
your
had to pull up my
tokens?
other
Where are your
2. I've
tokens?
used them.
I'm
Oh,
super down to get
my
into
God.
that mini golf course.
Hell yes.
put,
I can't believe you had
put to the
those
test.
in
Yeah,
arm's
too
length.
That
close,
blows my mind.
actually. Too
That's
close. So.
insane.
So let's make it
There you
happen,
go.
Kirk.
We'll make it happen.
Let's
We'll
all
film
get there
it.
and
Yeah,
do it.
we'll do it. Maddie then goes, can you each name a film that you wish you'd reviewed together back when it came out? Must be filmed during the GV era. I know for some of you may end up doing a ret show, but just wondering if any come to mind. And yeah, that was mine. I tried to think of some, and I think the natural answer for me was Parasite, but we did do that.
Yeah.
This past year or something, I think, for the Oscars. So I really couldn't think of one because I feel like now, because the retros, we have started to cross them off. I think we've gone a variation of this question of like before the podcast, but during, I think for the most part, the reason why it not so much happens is because even something like Everything Everywhere, where it was just me and Kirkland, it would have been great to have everybody. But when it comes time to Golden Geeks, we also still kind of talk and review it in a sense. So I think because Golden Geeks is that kind of year wrap up, it feels like even if we all didn't review it together, we semi do review it. So it was a tough one. Like I said, I was sort of disappointed, Matt, but I don't think I had anyone other. That was the one, but we did it this year, so that was always The Crown. And because even then, the next one was like Mad Max 2015, but I think that came out like right before the podcast started or something like that, so it was in that other era, and we'll probably do Mad Max next year for Furiosa. So I think that, so like I said, out of all the ones we have done, Parasite was the one, because that was just one that saw it more around Oscar time. It was just this crazy movie, and that would have been a fun night one review. Obviously, I don't even think we got that big of a release here in Cologne. I think it did after the Oscars, but it would have been a fun one night review of us all sitting down and be like talking about this movie, where the review was still fun, but it was different because me and Dylan had seen it before, so it's that difference of like we kind of know what's expecting, and but that would be the one.
Yeah, I think adding the precursor of something in the GV era makes this especially difficult because, yeah, once again, with Golden Geeks in particular, which we've done for so long now, like that ends up being a recap. So even though like technically we never did a Hereditary review, we've talked about that so much that like I don't really feel like we need to go back and do that. That would be fun. The one I've mentioned before is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. I think it came in 2017. It's like that weirdo Elijah Wood strange movie that I have since loved and didn't even watch it in that year, so it never got talked about, and I think it would have been a low-key sleeper hit for GeekVerse. So someday I'm sure we'll talk about it sometime. But what about this? What about Cats? Should we have done a Cats review?
Yeah, that could have been a good one. It could have been. I don't know how it would have done, but that would have been I still have not seen it to this day.
Me neither.
I've
Has
never
anyone seen it
watched
here?
I refuse. I'm sorry. I'm skipping that
We
one.
should do it.
I'm skipping it. I'm
We
skipping
should do it. Okay.
We'll throw
that
it in
like
the
freaks
next
me out though when
goal
there's like
one.
humans like in like the costume type, like this one's CGI, but like even as a kid, like when they had like those just like the Barney type individuals, they freaked me out as a kid, and it's just like scarred me. Like, you guys remember that Sexy Beast show that went on Netflix about like the people and the animals?
Terrible.
Like, it scared the hell out of me. Like, I just have this like deep rooted fear of those types of creatures, and cats. Like, I remember seeing that trailer and just like this irritates me in a very unnerving. So I'm like, unfortunately, I have to miss that one.
That
No, you'd
makes
have
me
to
want
do
you to
it,
be on it even more. Like, and definitely live reaction as we're doing it, and you're
Calm
just
track. Hey,
just,
that
like,
might be
freaking
torture,
out.
but I don't know. I feel like we can't get sued for that.
if this strike goes bad and we're gonna throw content out that might be just like that first year of COVID when we were watching like Color Out of Space, all this weird stuff. Cat's calm track may need to happen, and Kirkland's gonna buckle in and sit down.
I mean, if a Patreon jumps up,
If
to
we-
the
I was gonna
$50 tier,
say,
you can make us watch
yeah.
it. But
yeah, all that has
We
to
hit our
happen
goal,
is
maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's be a new goal. I was gonna say technically all that has to happen is someone has to join the producer tier, and they could just say review
Yeah,
cats.
true.
You know.
That would
that
be true.
easy.
It's in my contract. Yeah.
help
And
us
he-
get 50 subs.
And same thing because Golden Geeks is going to happen this year, but I do wish Kirkland and Taylor were on the Bo's Afraid review because me and Dylan had a good time just trying to break down what the hell that movie was. So I'm excited to talk about it again later on in the year because I still think about that movie and I'm like, man, what a weirdo ass movie. So
Very weird.
how about you two?
Weirdo ass movie. I'll take it away, I guess. I kind of threw in kind of threw in a meme one for myself. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, because I was never on that review. Big drama around that one. I was
We don't talk about that.
dark period in my life. I was very upset that we canceled that one, but it was a fake cancel because you guys ended up doing it without me, anyways.
There's some of these anniversary episodes
your
we have
pain, dude.
explained it. We have explained it.
That's on After 9 as well, too. I think we covered
Yeah, I
that.
think
it
it's on
is,
After
yeah.
9. It always comes every 2 years because there's always a few people that haven't heard the story and go, well, you know,
We're
we
still
made 8 years
bitter
now.
to this
but-
very day. About that one, but-
Like that's where it has an asterisk because there is a review on it, but like I wasn't there even though I was planning for it. So.
And I even said when we were doing the Jurassic Park was like, do you want to just retro it? And Kurt's like, nope, it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's true. No, the moment's passed.
It's fine.
And I wasn't even on the most recent one. I still haven't seen that movie. I'm out. I dipped hard.
The other ones that they just bounced around in my head would have been maybe there was a review on the GV. I don't think so, but would have been Martian, Matt Damon movie.
No, I think that was before
No.
our time.
Okay,
Or was it
yeah.
not?
That was
I
was
thought
not
it was
before our time, That was
2015.
after.
It wasn't
Yeah.
after. Okay.
I
Well,
remember when it was in theaters, I went, and then Madison's like, "Oh, I'll come see it with you." And so
Was
she-
it
Right.
tap?
It was definitely in the point where it was so early on that we didn't really review things like that. And I don't even know if we really did solo review episodes. We might have still
Right.
been doing like
No.
for all jams.
2015. Yeah, I guess it was. It was in October. So yeah, I guess so.
That was
Yeah,
very
'cause-
early days, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't do New Man. Like I think the very first solo review I ever did was like for La La Land because no one had seen it. I was like, oh, I just love this movie. I want to talk about it. But yeah, that's when they started kind of happen. But that was still late. That was the end of 2016. So it was still like a year and a half till we did that. And same thing with The Martian. We didn't have Golden Geeks or anything. So yeah, that's a good shout out. That would have been a fun one.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like the Interstellar route, and I had a lot of fun retroing that one with you guys. So who knows? Maybe one day there's
I could see
Patreon
that
out there.
happening.
Fix it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great movie. Yeah.
Couple other ones that I just want to throw out there would have been like San Andreas, like the Rock movie, just because I bring it up and
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I just part of me like wants to talk about it with you guys. Maybe a contract one day, and then
That's
another
what I
have
Rock
to
would
do
never
that
watch
one.
without us
Yeah.
having good content on it.
Because
for
San
sure.
Andreas, every time The Rock has a movie, I think it's specifically S-Mubs, but he'll bring it up and then everyone starts talking about it. And then, but it's not even that. The one I want to watch is Skyscraper. The one
That
where
was
The
the other
Rock's
one I was
missing a
gonna
leg.
pitch,
Yeah, when he's missing a leg. I'm always like, right, there's like this 2 years that The Rock made a bunch of movies that I've never seen. That, Hercules, like I just like San Andreas. I was like, I've seen enough, and I'm a Rock fan, and we gotta do that one day, just as like a charity stream or something. Just watch 3 to 4 Rock movies in a row and just like
Crack some
just see-
Zoas for that
Yeah.
one, no
Oh
doubt.
yeah, crack some Zoas.
like
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Crack
on
some
the
Zoe,
before
grab
the
it, bro.
episode.
We'll need it when we get in the fucking. Because I feel like we brought. I think. I don't know if Taylor was on the review. I don't know why I don't remember you being on the review. I know me, Dylan, and Briggs did Rampage. Were you on the review for Rampage, Taylor?
I was not there.
Good old
Okay,
Rampage,
and I feel like
yeah.
that was my point of like, okay, I'm gonna give The Rock a little break because Rampage I thought was gonna be like,
That's how you
George!
lose motivation. That's when you're seeing too many movies. Going back to
Yes.
that question from earlier. From
Yeah.
My favorite Skyscraper memory was when I went and saw I think it was for Infinity War when they had like the special edition that had like a scene that was like edited out or something. Like it didn't have all the CGI on it, but it was tactical. It was like a special Infinity War
Oh
night.
right, yes.
I was there with my buddies Tyler and Carson. Shouts out to them. And there was like a group of guys behind us, and that trailer played. It was in that era when Skyscraper came out, and there was a scene when he leaps from a crane to like another thing, and he like saves himself with the prosthetic leg. And I just remember the guy behind me was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like not super loud, but the fact that he was right behind us, it just made me laugh out loud so hard because he said everything that I was thinking in that moment. I was just like who green lights these sort of things? But again, like I think that movie did just insane in China for some reason. Like
I think it made a
Rock
profit. Yeah.
well, yeah, which is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Rock doing those things. Yeah. Taylor, you got anyone you wish we reviewed? Insidious, The Red Door.
Bionicle, the Green Door, or something.
Well, I mean, if it
G.I. Joe
was
Snake Eyes when I screwed you over.
Snake Eyes would have been a good pick. I would have loved to have talked Snake Eyes with you, Kirkland. That would have been such a good time.
I dropped the ball there.
Right off the hop, I would have loved to have talked Rise of the Beasts with you guys. That would have been such a good conversation.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
really
excited to
enjoyed
watch that next week. I can't wait. I just like we get spoiled. No one cares what's happening, right? We don't even know what's gonna happen.
Kirkland might.
I kind of want to see it.
But it's just like the most minorest thing. Has nothing to do with the movie. It's just what they're setting up.
That has everything to do with the movie.
I don't know anything
No, it
about this, so I don't want to know.
crossover?
I don't want to know.
Yeah. There's something.
Spoilers.
I'd save it. I'd save it.
Text it to me.
No,
Message me on Discord. I want to know.
I
know.
feel
Take your
like
headphones out, Kirkland. Yeah.
okay. So it's at the end they set up they're gonna cross over GI Joe, which is not like a big thing, but like that's like
who
two
cares?
classic
Yeah,
80s.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's like I don't think it would affect Kirkland, so you're good to go. Yeah, so 50
Welcome
Shades of
back.
Grey and Transformers together.
Robot orgies.
My main pick that I went with was Annabelle Creation. I feel like that would have been such a good discussion because that was, aside
that
from
come
like
out?
the first Conjuring, Annabelle Creation was so freaking good.
Is that the first Annabelle movie?
No, the second one.
2017. So there you
So
go.
that one was it was
year.
really really good. I felt like it really captured and touched tones what like the original Conjuring was, but a lot of other like of the anthology films were very very rocky. That one was just that was so good. It's still my favorite next to the first Conjuring movie to this day. So
Yeah, that's just that first one broke everybody I know. I like that franchise, but I was like, no, I don't need to see that. So it is a good one too. So yeah, maybe one day there'll be one day at some way I'd like to do some sort of Conjuring retro because there's so many movies
we
in
got
there.
the
And just-
show, we got the Nun 2, Conjuring
yeah, the show,
4,
yeah,
right?
More so just an excuse to talk about The Conjuring because I think that's just one of the best movies ever. Then you got to go with the rest of them, but I think there's a flock of bad movies in there where we could have like a good time discuss them. But
I'd be
that's
down.
Conjuring retro is probably a little more down the line than some others, you know. But
If things get delayed. maybe
Exactly.
something will.
I know we did an Evil Dead retro, but just like a horror movie retro in my mind just sounds so taxing on my brain. Just
'cause
watching
there's
so
so
many
many,
scary
yeah.
things, like gotta watch. some
Yeah,
happy
but
things
that's
in between.
Saw.
But yeah, so but even in like Conjuring, even when we eventually get to like Friday 13th, there's some stinkers in there that aren't even scary. Where it's just like you got some of those franchises have like the worst of the worst movies, and those are always some of the best times. So, and then Maddie says, if you choose one of your favorite films to be remade and reimagined by a director of your choice, which film and which director would you choose? Very
Yeah.
interesting question.
Tricky, but yeah, because it's your favorite, something that's your favorite. So it's like you probably ideally don't want it changed or reimagined or anything like that. But my answer for this is Donnie Darko, written and directed by Ari Aster.
Oh fuck, that'd be
Pretty good, right?
real good. Oh yeah, I thought Ari for a couple, but I couldn't really match him. That's a really good one.
Because yeah, I mean I loved that movie and I just haven't seen it in a very long time. So I'm sure it holds up. I just haven't revisited it. So that would be one that I'd be down for like a new modern take on it. And obviously Ari is such a freak that I'm sure he'd come up with something great. So
Oh yeah.
You're a freak, Ari. That's a really good pick. You should have went last, Dylan. I kind of went with like the first one in my mind that I thought because there's so many movies that I think are I love them because of the director and what it is. So it's kind of tough to pick my favorite there. But the first one that bounced on my mind actually is a James Bond movie, Casino Royale. Okay, stay with me.
Jeez.
Directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh God. Okay,
I
can see
just
that.
I'm thinking of the Reservoir Dogs, like the basically the torture scene when he's cutting the guy's ear off, and then of course you got the chair scene. I just picture like some funky music like he has in that one, and like it's really fucked up and dark, but like also comedic. And then I'm also just picturing a lot of heavy dialogue between Bond and our villain Mads Mikkelsen, specifically around the poker table, like while they're just playing, just having like a really long extended just dialogue with like not even just those two, just like other people at the table, just with how well Tarantino does dialogue. I think that could be really, really entertaining, as well as he can just do the bonkers action and just like the James Bond choreography is like really like tactical and all that stuff, but just do it with the Tarantino style, with someone just yelling something outrageous as their head gets blown off. I think that could be a really fun time. It really like would be not James Bond. I feel like a lot of James Bond fans wouldn't be for it, which is that's fine. I think it's a fun one. It's the first one that crossed my mind that I thought, yeah, that could actually work. I'm gonna pitch that.
No, that's good too, because the Craig ones is the more dialogue heavy ones, so that would work. And plus, he'd probably make that scene a lot more interesting than what's his name when he explains Ava Green the game of poker like 50 million times. Like the pot is full. Like Tarantino could really punch up that fucking scene and make it a lot better. Go check out our Craig retro; it's a good time. We'll do the other Bonds one day. But what about you, Mr. Field? I'm interested on this one.
Well, I would have loved to have seen that Neil Blomkamp Alien kind of spinoff.
Not a
But
remake,
again,
though. It's a
that's-
sequel.
I know exactly. So I went
cheap.
and changed up for a different scenario where I would have again Neil Blomkamp or Michael Bay. I was leaning more towards Michael Bay taking over the Battle of Los Angeles with Aaron Eckhart. 'Cause I fucking love that movie,
What a
and
random
it
pick,
already looks
okay.
so good now. But I feel like it could have done with such more like scale. And Michael Bay loves that practicality of scale, just all out craziness. And I feel like, he would have been perfect. Like if they were to do Battle of Los Angeles 2, bring back in
20 years later.
bring back in some of
Eckhart.
these, Eckhart and Michelle Rodriguez, and get Michael Bay in there. Oh,
Emrod.
perfect.
What did I'm curious what Battle Los Angeles did financially, but
I love that movie, Taylor. I'm a defender of that
So
movie with
good.
you.
Thank you.
I liked
seen
it
it.
too. It's just, it's a good little alien movie. What is it? Make?
2011.
It's a good
Not
movie if you're a COD
bad.
fan, I think.
70 million budget, 212 box office. So
Damn.
not too
Not at
bad.
all.
Give us that
Pretty good.
sequel.
Better than some of the movies this year doing, so
Yeah.
that's pretty good. So this one was tough for me, but what I ended up going with, I picked Fight Club, directed by Jordan Peele, because I think Jordan Peele's really good at like the psychological stuff, and I think primarily too with him always saying that he wants like his main cast to be black. I think that would give it a fresh coat of paint, not only just like getting two different characters representing different culture, but just maybe the different issues, the way that Tyler Durden and some of these things start to become like a terrorist group. You could have this being a whole different side of the coin of their motivations of why they would maybe start doing these crimes or what the motivation is. And I would just love to see who would Jordan Peele cast as those two. Like that, I think would be the biggest thing is one, just his direction, but who would he cast as the narrator, and then who would he cast as Tyler Durden? I'd be fascinated. I feel like Kaluuya has to be one of those guys, and he could
Yeah.
be either of them, and I don't really know, but like, I don't know if it's him, and I'm just trying to think, like maybe, I don't think he's worked with him, but I'd feel like a Kaluuya with like a Yaya in there, and yeah, there's just something about that where I'm like, okay, I think that would fit like a glove. And most of his movies, even to an extent, Nope has psychological elements to it, right? Even though if that was a bit straightforward, there's always something going on. So that's my pick. There's Fight Club with Jordan Peele, because I think that's a movie that won't get remade for a long time, but I would love to see him try. So,
That'd be cool. I still have never seen Fight Club.
oh yeah, I
That's
tried to
maybe
walk
my
around a
biggest
bit.
like blind spot in terms of just movies in my life
yeah.
that I've missed.
I think you'd enjoy it, and hopefully that'll be a retro too one day. Whether we need to do an Edward Norton or Brad Pitt one, maybe it'll happen, or Fincher, we'll see. But thank you, Maddie, as always, our fellow Canadian friend, for that. So appreciate it, Mr. Chris Balga, with a couple of these, one specifically for Taylor. But this is one, and this is probably a quicker one because I can answer this. This was in the COVID era, but we can add anything to it. He said, after being so successful at GeekVerse, Chris, it's not just a modest success. Why did you all decide to create the GUA network instead of bringing those shows to GV? As a host of the GUA network, I received that question a few times, so I figured I would ask the GV crew for a definitive answer along the same lines. What did you enjoy most about having the GUA network? Well, we didn't put you on here because we didn't want you here. Chris, I didn't want you on the feeds, didn't want you outclassing me and everything. You're educated vice principal. I couldn't have that. They'd hear you and be like, oh. But no, I think that was just because, and I always give him the credit, and he's more doing his, oh God, I'm sorry, Greg, for what the show is. It's something Panthers. He's on it because he's a big Carolina Panthers fan. He's on, like, he's a co-host of that, and he's like, he does very well, the show. Like, he's on a very popular, like, it's like known as like one of the bigger like Carolina specific based ones. So check out him. Oh God, it's Keep Pounding or C3 Panthers. It's something, but he was the one that always like, oh, I wish we could do something like that. And luckily, again, with people listening to us, and that's where we always say with Spreaker, with everywhere before we had to pay for podcast subscriptions, and Spreaker is the first one to say, hey, if you come to us, we can do that for you, and then you can also have this. And when we got these other feeds, this was before, also we had our separate feeds, but that's why we never had that idea of yet, at least even myself, of doing side quests and a review feed. So that's how that kind of happened. It's just, well, we have access to other feeds. Let's do this. And we kind of, Greg was the star of that. And that's how I met Chris and Katie. We all met them as far as they were on SCS and that show. Like it does, I think it happens now, but it's like a bit more small because Greg's doing other stuff. But that's the thing where it just kind of was like a good talented people. I always say it started like the best of worst of times, because they, even worse than us, that we started that thing at the beginning of COVID. And I remember because I hosted Marvel Alliance with Chris, and that was 12, 15 solid weeks of us just trying to think of, okay, what do we talk about? Because there was like nothing to talk about really. So those were good times, and I miss hosting that show with him. But yeah, I think that's why it was just because we had that and we weren't sure. And even then, because there are people that do listen to both, but we've done that before. There's people that listen differently and everything. And it's been fun. That's another thing about being so busy, that it's stuff where things like Marvel Lines, I always say I want to be on once a week, or when they do the crossover, which is their version of After 9, or even stuff like when I go on podcast stream. Those are other things that do stuff for my podcast so much, because those ones, that's not a job. Literally going to talk with Chris or Brand or Dave, those are just fun. But that's when it's like, oh, I've already podcast 4 times this week. I just can't do it again, because I just like, I don't want to just completely dedicate doing everything on air. So that's another one. I've been so busy that I've been wanting to be back there. And even then we've said too, and I'll probably try and do that more in 2023. Like for the first year and a half, we did a lot of like, I think every few months we did like crossovers of like
really
a GV.
fun,
Yeah. And we just haven't done one in a while just because we've been busy. So I think that's where, again, why I'm kind of taking this year to kind of sit and say, okay, what should we do more? And I people for both surveys, GUA did a survey and GV did, and both people say, oh, you should do some more with that. So I would love to, because it's always a different mixing of personalities. And but yeah, that was pretty much the reason. Was just we got the opportunity and we knew a lot of cool people, and luckily it's been going. I think they just went past their 3rd year. Yeah, I think it's been 3 years, and that's another thing. It's just blown by. It's just nuts, and that's, I guess, another reason why I'm less a part of it. Not less a part, but it's the same thing where I just trust everybody over there now. Like lots of times they edit their stuff, they put it up, and it's not disrespect to anyone there, but like Chris is my go-to guy, and he never said like, oh, I'll do that for you. He's just many times, I thank him all the time for picking up slack. If like they've had to plan the monthly crossovers, he's stepped up and done that at times, because he knows that with my job and their timing, all of them are Eastern too. That's always the tough thing too. So that's kind of why it's like, not that we don't do enough with them because we don't want to. It's just timing, and I just know that they're just kind of got it, and they rock it, and all those shows are doing well, especially the DC feeds picking up this year. That's what happened too. They have their own separate feeds, and the Marvel feed, like they got to the point where, which was really proud, and I wasn't even a part of that, when they started off the GUA network, and then there was the Marvel stuff, and now their Marvel feed does better than their Marvel episodes on GUA, and other feeds are starting to do that way. So I think everyone that supports that, but that was just kind of how it got started and stuff. So I'm not sure if you guys want to add anything in general about that, but
Yeah, I mean, full transparency, I have zero involvement of it, and
yeah, you were out at that time. Yeah,
it started when I was kind of on my hiatus, so truly I have nothing to do with it. So all the success there is credit to everyone else, not me. Other than I listen to some episodes here or there, and I'm glad that it exists. But I think in terms of keeping it separate, you also just got to think like the GeekVerse, the main, our main feed, the GeekVerse podcast feed.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's already an episode every single day of the week, and if you doubled that, I think it would be a bit heavy for people in terms of just a bit too much there. And, we have it broken out nicely. You can subscribe to individual things you want, but some people just like it easier to subscribe to one thing.
Yeah.
And I would feel a bit bad if we were like, drop in fucking 14 episodes in a week on one feed alone. That would be maybe a bit much. So I think it's good to have some differentiation there. And then it gives GUA its own identity, which is great. And I like that there's that association, but it can still be its own thing. And yeah.
And that's why, too, it's also not even just for the listeners, it's for the people that host the show, right? Because you post something and then it just gets pushed down the feed. That's why we always try to switch days up of, hey, this is happening, can you do this and this? And that's why there's certain stuff like the draft or this episode that patrons are getting first, but we're releasing that a couple weeks later because we already have so much this week. It's like we don't want stuff that we feel is good content to get pushed down, because that's always the tough thing with news, right? When you got big news or something, you want to cover it and not feel out of time. But yeah. What were you giving there, Terry? At first I thought it was the baby, but no, it's.
Oh.
It was the baby.
Oh, hello.
I saw a hand.
It's holding the child.
Be on that mute game. Yeah. Kirk, are you gonna say something or no?
Yeah, like just piggybacking on sort of what you guys said. Obviously, you said it a lot nicer and better than what I would have probably come up with. You just know a lot more. You're a lot more interactive, I'd say, with those guys over there. But no, I feel like the best, what I can answer out of it is like the best thing that's come out of it for me was just interacting with. Wait, am I skipping a question? Hold on.
No, we're talking about GUA. Where are you? Where are you?
Yeah. What do you enjoy the most about having started the GUA network? Is basically just getting the opportunity to interact with all these other super passionate, knowledgeable, and just yeah, they're like experts in their field. I'll call them because like the things that they're covering, like I'm not like I might not be as knowledgeable on it, even though I do have a passion for it. So it's so fascinating hearing their takes on the particular topics or whatnot. And like
We
I
could
feel
never
like
do a weekly DC show, you know.
no,
stuff
I would
like
be
that.
I would
Yeah.
be doing a disservice to
My personal
DC
hell.
fans out there. Like it'd be jarring to listen to because I just am so
Yes.
limited. I would be asking so many questions, which I guess
Yes.
could be fun sometimes, but a lot of people don't go to those shows for that purpose. So also just like the biggest thing is just being able to interact with them over there. And it's been like that's one of those things. It's just I think when I look back on the podcast, it's like one of the biggest things we've done. I think is actually incorporating the GUA network. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been super positive, and like you said, like it's so amazing, like just for seeing your own growth, but also just like seeing where they're coming from and have their own like just support and fans and loyalty and growth out there. So yeah, I love it. Love you guys over there.
Yeah,
I definitely want more crossover events though, because
Yeah,
in that
well-
era it was popping, and then of course life happens. But yeah.
Yeah.
I want more crossovers.
Well, and we always would do one usually for Comic-Con, right? But then that didn't happen. So we'll do something maybe. Who knows with fall how busy it gets? But we'll probably do at least, like I said, more in 2024. We'll try and do maybe even quarterly. Try and do some stuff and everything. So, Taylor, you look like you're muted. You want me to move along?
No, I'll throw in a quick answer here. Where is my response I put in?
ChatGPT.
He
that's
wrote
what
us,
he's getting his answer.
all his answers are ChatGPT.
Hang on. So sorry, I'm fighting a crying baby here.
We can skip you and come back to you, Taylor.
I wasn't sure initially, actually, like when you were pitching like GUA, like fully what you were trying to like build or construct, like if it was a separate thing or if it was like part of GV.
I needed
like,
a place so when we got rid of you, you could go to. You know, I'm like, well, you'll still be on a podcast, but it just won't be a part here.
There you go.
Swap you.
But like when I was making the logos, I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is gonna be like its own kind of thing. This is cool.
Some of the best logos you've done too. I love all those Ultimate Alliance ones, or Geek Ultimate Alliance. So I love like you have that one, you have the Marvel. It is very branded oriented and stuff like that, and they all got music and stuff like that. So and they did a good job of separating themselves too. So
Totally.
always
Yeah.
go listen to them.
They've created their own identity, which I think is very, 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 very like good on them. And like you said, Kirk, like my favorite thing is when we do like those crossover things. I always love guesting on their shows too, and I'd love to guest more, but the invitations never seem to come my way.
No, you get that's such a
Oh, that's cold, man. That's cold.
That's when the owners of the feed, you literally at any point could go to any of those people and go say, "Hey, let's do this."
I'm not gonna self-invite though.
Hey, just so you guys know, I'm gonna be on this episode tomorrow.
Chris, you're off this week.
On the
Chris, you're out.
episode, and then can you do the edit and the upload for me, please? Yeah.
I think it's the reverse that we all got so busy. It's like, well, we can't just always invite them. So it's like, no, I think we could the same way they always have open invites. It's the same thing, just the timing wise. Where I know that's where like Chris, like he was a big Jordan Peele fan. He's like, I want to be in the Nope review. I'm like, oh, I'd love to have you on, but we're recording that like 1 a.m. your time. It's like, oh yeah, maybe next time. That's always that was not the mistake, but I miscalculated that when I started. Not that I wouldn't have changed it, but I remember early on, I'm like, oh, I never even factored into that because most of the time I met them through SES and that was like 6 p.m. my time. But I was like, oh, really? Didn't really think about all those situations and stuff. And I will say a highlight episode was it was when I think Clay and Travis. I think that's when Clay was hosting DC. If not, it was Greg when they were both gone, and me and Taylor had to host DC Alliance one week, and one of the best worst episodes. And that's when the meme of John Cena playing Bane came out. And I remember that was the best thing of people that don't listen to GV that would then tweet be like, "Oh my god, this is a terrible, awful pick. Like, who's this guy pitching John Cena's Bane?" It was a good time. So, Taylor, and I'll throw to you. What happened to the Taylor roast, and will it be rescheduled? Chris asked us. He was a roastee.
I would say I advise you to ask Maddie, both Clays, and Carl regarding that one.
That's so many people. Is that your law team or something?
That was the whole roasting panel, and it's
and me and Chris. Me and Chris were on there.
Well, yeah, Chris, because Chris is the one asking the question. So that's,
okay,
I
just
knew
clarifying. Yeah,
he was committed. I know you were on board too, but I couldn't do it with just two people. That would have been sad. It would have looked pretty unfortunate. But
That's just bullying at that point.
Like-
You need more people.
Did you like have a day and then everyone bailed? Is that what
we
happened?
planned
Yeah.
a day way in advance, and then Maddie, he apologized because he was like, I can't insult you.
We don't want to throw him
Taylor."
under the bus, you know.
No. He was just too kind-hearted.
Their
gentle
jokes
soul.
weren't good enough. That's why they didn't think they were gonna
Yeah.
get a laugh. That's what it was. You know?
Carl, he got super wasted the night before, and he just said apologized, said I can't do it. I'm super just
Classic.
plastered.
Alcohol.
I wouldn't have
Nice
it
and
anyway.
honest. Nice and honest.
Oh,
I
and
haven't seen
then
Carl in a while. I gotta
Cocktail
have
Clay,
him
just too busy. He was down for the initial pitch, but then he was
He's
like,
a
yeah, just too
notoriously busy guy. for
Yeah,
sure.
we
Yeah.
see him like 4 times a year, Clay. You got to change
Yeah.
that. What's going on?
And then Fanboy Clay,
Those
just
are rookie numbers.
I think he just got busy too, so he wasn't able to pitch in there. Yeah, but I was excited because like Chris, like as far as I know, you wrote out something like pretty solid. I'm expecting. So to answer the question too, like is it going to be rescheduled? I have in the back of my mind that it's going to be. Like I am confident that we're going to do this at some point. It just we need to get that panel. We need to get a few confident roasters because I want to be roasted by you, Chris.
wow. Yeah, maybe we'll kick
I gotta-
tires again around the stream time, see what's popping. But
I gotta do some research because you asked me and I'm like, I'm not smart enough to do this. I don't know. I feel like I won't be good. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do some research and just pledge my loyalty to the roast panel.
there you go. And then finally asked, do you guys have any guilty pleasure movies or TV shows? Movies, I didn't really have any because most of the time, not that I feel guilty, but I just know they're bad, and I just kind of, I feel like I find some of I don't know if there's one so bad that I'm guilty. There's stuff that I can still justify if it's bad. So I don't really know TV where it is as I watch Emily packing lunches. It's when we watch like Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle and that sort of stuff. And sometimes I just look over at Emily and I'm just like, why do we watch this stuff? Especially there's like this show called like Perfect Match, and it's all these reality stars that get put together. And then you go and read, it's like everyone's broken up like a couple months later, and it's just like, why do we watch this? This is bad scripted TV. But I think it's just because it's like it's the most, I guess there's so much times where I'm watching stuff nowadays where I'm making notes, I'm thinking about stuff. That is the peak I can put this on and not care about it and pull up my phone, laptop at any point. So that's probably it. It's like the Netflix, like that sort of stuff. Like I don't feel bad about watching Big Brother, like even Survivor, even though I'm behind like the game show stuff. No, it's that reality TV show. I'm like, oh my God, this is just awful. But I have a fun time watching. Like tomorrow, new Too Hot to Handle. Me and Emily will be there seeing if these people are going to touch each other or not. And here we are.
Yeah, I definitely would put like Love is Blind in there, but like I've also just tapered off. Like Shane and I watched like the first episode. I'm like, I just don't like this show anymore. Like I just don't get entertainment out of it. Like so I'll give her the green light to just throw it on, and she just loves that sort of stupid drama that show is. And then every once in a while, you know, the classic, I'm just like, what's
There's
going on
something.
there?
There's one
And I'm like,
story, yeah.
yeah, like, but I feel like it's so minimal now that like that I want to get interested in, and it's like, wait, what did he say to her? And like that's like episode 4 in like one quick moment. I
Because they
feel
also
like
ruined it with Love is Blind that now you know they can just like get married but just not get married now. You know, like I know
Yeah.
it's reality TV, but that first season we're like, what? They got to get married? Now I've seen so many times where they get married and it's like, but then a couple months later they just annul it
Yeah.
and decide. It's like, oh, well, then it's really just like you're just getting together, breaking it. Like it's not, there's no big stakes to it anymore, you know?
yeah, no, exactly. So I don't really watch any other shows like that. Like Riverdale might have been in there in that era, but like I got out of that show years
Yeah, me
ago,
too,
and
yeah.
but like it wasn't even so much like I'd put it on just to have a background. Like I was totally involved. I was watching it week to week and having a good time with it, but I just got tired of it for sure. And so TV shows, I don't know. I feel like I have my fallback shows, but those aren't bad shows. They're just ones that we like to throw on rotation. The classic Avatar: Last Airbender, like I just love that so much, but that's not a guilty pleasure. I shout that out to the world. Everybody should watch that. It's one of the greatest shows of all time. But for movie wise, I don't even know like what the rating is on it, but this is a movie that like no matter how many times I watch it, I just love it. It's a big nostalgia movie for me. I should look up the Rotten Tomatoes actually. Is The First National Treasure.
I think it's good, yeah.
I really did not like the second one. I thought I did, but then when I rewatched it, it's like, oof. I think I'm just gonna stick to the one movie when I rewatch these now. But yeah, I just love it so much. Like as a kid, I just love the treasure hunting aspect. Again, it's kind of parallel to that Indiana Jones type thing. It's not as epic for sure, but still just finding clues and thinking that there's treasure out there. It's always been such a fun idea to me since a kid. Just the hidden mysteries out there. I feel like that's a big thing why I just love history is like just the hidden treasures that the ancient ones, left out there in the world, and who's gonna find it? None other than Benjamin Gates. So I love that movie so much. I love the supporting cast. It's just a fun time. Like every once in a while, I'm just like, yeah, this is a good day to throw on National Treasure, and I love it. It's so I know Taylor's there with me.
I am.
He's tired.
He is, and then he did.
Sorry, I
Okay,
had baby puke all over my legs.
Oh yeah, you handle
So
that.
I dangle out of there. So I'm answering next. That's what we're doing here.
Sure.
I'm
This is
gonna go.
I love that this moment has reverted you back to like day one of podcast, and you like don't know how to react. Like you're just
When you get puked on, it's totally you just revert back to square one. Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh God.
That's definitely a guilty pleasure watch. Pacific Rim Uprising. Those low key sequels that are like just full on craziness, and you got the aliens thrown in there too. Like I love that stuff, and it just totally. It's like chef's kiss. That's definitely my guilty pleasure.
That's
I'm
definitely a
no
guilty
longer
pleasure.
embarrassed. I'll say it out publicly.
yeah. I mean, speaking of chef's kiss, I feel like that for me would be just like all the silly cooking shows that me and
Oh,
Muds
yeah.
watch, which they just get more and more gimmicky as they have to these cooking competition shows. It's not not really like a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it. Some of them, if they're really that bad, I think we just bail. But like one we really enjoyed earlier this year on Netflix is called Pressure Cooker, which is essentially just a cooking competition show meets Survivor is like the concept. Like they're doing these things, but then you can just like arbitrarily vote someone out regardless of if like they made a good meal or not, which it's really fun. It's just so stupid. And like it's where cooking shows have got to after like a decade or two of just iterating and coming up and running out of all these ideas. So I don't know. We watch a lot of those. But then, I mean, Survivor, I'm not really guilty about it, but I still watch Survivor every episode the night it comes out. And obviously we're doing our little draft in the Discord now too. So that's fun. And I won the draft this season. So I had some great picks over there.
Congrats.
But yeah, I don't really feel too guilty about any of them. I only watch peak TV and movies and games and all that. So
You Dylan remind me with the cooking show one. I guess at Throw Movies is me and Emily do this every holiday season. We watch all the terrible Christmas movies like on the Woman Network. But like we do that because that is a so bad it's good situation,
Yeah.
and there's some gems in there and everything like that. But one day GV is gonna make I really want to make a bad Christmas movie, like a kind of on purpose,
That'd be
tongue in cheek fourth wall. Yeah, I really want
Turtlenecks have to be in that movie.
turtlenecks for sure. Yeah, that's what I
a
want.
lot of
So.
them, yeah.
But
You go,
yes, thank you very
Travis,
much. Oh, go ahead.
You said National Treasure was a good movie in your mind. Apparently, it's 46%.
Wow, I'm surprised. I thought that was like a well-reviewed movie, but I guess yes.
Audience
not.
score 76. So the
respectable.
the real reviewers
Yeah,
they like
the
it.
real people. Yeah,
76 is pretty good.
yeah. But thank you, Chris, for the questions. And it's always good to talk to you, and hopefully we'll do that soon. I'm actually talking to him tomorrow at the time of this recording, so there you go. Clay Patron with the oddest question of the night. U.S. Clay agent. God, what's the other?
Maybe not the most odd question. There might be one more.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, there's one that
Second
just fucking
most, though.
bedazzled
This is
my
the runner-up.
mind, but this is definitely the runner-up. Which Boyd Holbrook character would you most like to have on the podcast? What would you like to talk to that character about? And he's on a Boyd Holbrook kick as he asked me a question on Trash Told You, which I haven't done yet, so I will get there, Clay, next time I do that. But yeah, did you guys have one to go to?
I mean, this is hot off
did.
Dials of Destiny. But like, I wouldn't
is.
want. He's a Nazi, right? So I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to have that character on the podcast.
Would you maybe want to ask him though his mind, like what his mindset
Yeah.
was?
No,
in the
'cause
moment
I-
when
Maybe
I-
okay. Well, is he in the room with us recording? If that in that case, no. Maybe if it's like a
Some bulletproof glass between you two.
Yeah, like a prison interrogation type thing,
prison
like you're
podcast.
you're through
just
you're through the
says-
bulletproof glass.
even then, I don't think I want to interact with a Nazi in any shape or form. To be
I picked
honest.
him, and the main reason
Why do you want to interact?
main
with a
reason
Nazi?
is like what was going through your mind when you
Yes.
went back in time and decided to just mow down the Romans. Like
we
they
got
are not a
Oprah
threat to
Winfrey
you.
him. you know.
Yeah, and like that's what I want to ask him. I'm like, Boyd, like there's no cameras here, man. Like I just turned off. Of course they will be, but this is what I'm gonna tell him. It's like I just want to like, what was going through your mind there? Like you,
Boyd.
you sacrifice.
I know it's not Boyd. It's the character.
I don't
so
know
when
his
are you
character.
talking? Because he. Oh god, never mind. I won't.
I don't
I
know the
say-
character's name.
Yeah, I say it's like he survived that and did go back in time. And
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
thing is he ends up in 2022 or 23, and Kirkland's there with a mic being like, what did you do in that plane?
Or
Tell me."
maybe it's like, you know, if you believe there's an afterlife or something, like he does die in that moment, and I'm like at the waiting room, like before he goes to hell or heaven, and I'm just like, I got like his file in front of me, and I'm just like,
You got the.
what was
Yeti
going
with
through
you.
your mind? Like, you know, I ask him about all the other terrible things he's done, of course, before that point, but then I get to the Roman, and I highlighted it because it's just, you know, everything else is kind of explainable, I guess. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but like, what is this? What is this mowing
He
down the Romans thing?
Killed
What
innocent
happened
people
there?
before the Romans thing. Like,
Still,
and he's
that's
a-
No, but
the one that-
specifically,
Yes.
these are ancient people.
I just want to know
fighting
why
a
did
war
he
that you're
think
not
that would
involved
make
in.
a difference? Like what? Like add the
When
situation. where
Indy
you-
asked him, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. I want the verbal what happened. Like you went back in time. How is this going to solve anything? You're just taking a machine gun and mowing everyone down. I want to know as well. It's not who I picked, but that's what I want to know.
I should like supplement too. Is I have so little knowledge about Boyd Holbrook's characters. Is like that's just the one I kind of went with.
It's a
Of course,
deep
I've
cut for
seen him in Predator. I've seen him in Logan, but like I don't remember that character much. I don't think I've seen either of those projects in a long time.
Well,
so
you should have
pretty,
kept
pretty much
wa-
recency bias.
I was gonna say you should have kept watching The Sandman, like I recommend you, Kirkland, because that was my pick. The Corinthian.
Too long, as Taylor would say.
No, too long. No, this is a man that got eyes for teeth and stuff. He's just a very interesting character. He's a very kind of not anti-hero. He is on the protagonist
Sorry, does
side.
he actually have eyes for teeth?
Teeth
Or
for
this-
eyes. Sorry. So when like, he
Teeth
always
for
wears
eyes.
glasses, and then when he takes them off, there's teeth there. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Does he
I
have
would suck
eyes?
to
He
eat.
can't have
any
too?
solid
Nope.
foods.
No eyes.
So
but
only
yeah, the
teeth.
Corinthian.
But
Yeah,
he
he's
still has a regular mouth too.
yeah, regular mouth. The
But he
eyes
doesn't
are
Three
chew
cheap.
mouths, kind of.
with his
I
eyes.
don't know. I don't think that ever comes up, but I guess he could.
The idea of eyes for teeth is also an interesting.
Great
It's
show.
freaky.
That the holes
Everyone-
go to the stomach from the
Everyone
up here.
check probably. Everyone check it out before season
Straight to
2
the
comes
asshole,
out.
Clear path.
No
No
direct line. Yeah,
I
everyone
like to have
check it
eyes
out.
for teeth.
It's a Sandman is a super slow burn, but there's just some really great television there, and he's a very interesting character that is very much in the middle, definitely more on the bad side, so don't get me wrong, but there's like a soft side to him, and there's just a lot of shit I'm sure he's seen. So yeah, I recommend Sandman. That's a character because he'd be a cool guy, because not to take Kirkland's, that's the one, but like the guy from Logan, I don't think I'd really want to talk. Like I don't know what I talk about. The Predators guy, same thing. Maybe Justified starts this week, finally comes back, and I'm really excited to that. And he's the villain in that, so maybe that character. But yeah, the Corinthian is who I would pick, and I can't wait for Sandman season 2. Bring it.
I was cruising through his IMDb, and like surprisingly he's in more things than I like. Did you know he's in Gone Girl? Like could not tell
He's
you
a
what.
cop, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. I've seen that movie several times, but I can't like tell you where he is in there. But
Yeah.
I mean, for me, so it kind of came down to like, okay, do I pick Logan or Dial of Destiny? And I chose like not the Nazi. That was my kind of
That's fair.
thinking there.
backing,
But yeah, I feel like there could be some interesting questions in terms of like, what is that universe like? Just other questions about other superhero incidents and things that happen that we would not have seen in these movies. Like, what is it like to interact with Wolverine? Like, what does he smell like? I'm sure he has a pretty pungent scent to him and all that stuff. So I feel like there's some questions. Would he be top of my interview list? No, but out of Boyd Holbrook characters, like, yeah, I think there's some great questions that I could ask him, even if none of them would be about himself or his life. They'd just be about other characters and what that world is like. I'd be down to find out about that multiverse.
It's like if your first choice for an interviewee like falls through, and then your backup is this guy. That's who you're taking
Yeah.
in that situation.
It's like option Z.
Yeah.
Gotta ask him with the arm, at least. There's a couple good questions about what's
True.
it like to have a robotic arm. So
Yeah.
Taylor, I think I know your answer.
I'm honestly gonna go with Kyle from the movie Host. I really think that there's some cool questions you could ask, like what's it like falling in love with a girl who is possessed by a alien consciousness. What's it like to live in?
Is that the webcam movie?
post-apocalyptic- No, it's sort of like the girl. I can't remember her name. Oh, actually, no, it's sort of
Oh,
Ronan,
God,
isn't it?
he's
And she
in
gets
that?
possessed by like humanities get possessed by these like sentient, conscious like light beings that
Oh
get
my
put in their
God.
brain. They use the human bodies as like
They have
vessels.
teeth for eyes and shit.
It's very
Eyes for
Twilight
teeth.
era.
It's based off a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my god, even worse.
40
than
million
Impressive.
budget, 63 million box office. So
But I'd love to ask him, like, what's it like to live in a post-apocalyptic world where there's not many humans left, and the humans that are around are just living in an advanced civilization, but there are no emotions. They're just living vessels by an alien consciousness. And what's it like to be hunted and used as that?
He's like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, just like,
So I put in the host, Boyd Holbrook, and the top two questions that people ask for this is, who is Boyd Holbrook married to? That's fine. And then it is, how tall is the actor who plays the Corinthian in Sandman? Has no, like, why wouldn't for the host Boyd Holbrook people ask how tall is the guy from the host? But they literally, yeah, just I got some funny results here. But yeah, he's looking.
who's he married to?
I don't know. It's a clean shaven Holbrook, which I'm not a big fan of. I like him with the stubble. He's married to Tatiana Pachakovic, a Danish artist.
Is
I
he?
love that
Is
for
he?
him.
Is he a big character in that movie, Taylor?
His as far as I remember, his girl gets kidnapped, doesn't get to the rendezvous, and then gets possessed by the alien thing. And then his brother is like trying to like kill her, but he ends up falling in love with her all over again, even though it's not her. It's this alien consciousness starts to feel emotions, and so
Sounds like he's a big part of it.
But wait, he
That's
was,
what I took out of it.
he was
He's
already
not even on the poster, though.
Yeah.
Like where
Wait,
is
hang
he?
on.
That's
He
him
was
on the left,
already
actually.
he was already in love with the regular girl, and then she was possessed, and then he fell in love with the alien version
I
of the girl
believe
as
so
well.
because the alien version
What
could see
the
all the
fuck?
memories and like the love that the girl had, so she
From
felt
the writer
that
of
way towards him
Twilight.
too.
How interesting.
But
That's
that was him
fucked
in the
up.
back. That's him in the back right, isn't it?
I don't
I
know.
don't
No,
think so.
it definitely isn't. Here, let me
That's
share it
fucked
again
up.
so you
Like
can
your
see.
loved one gets possessed, and you still fall in love with that one. It's like they were possessed.
They fuck better, Travis.
That's definitely yeah. That's definitely not them.
No, he's nowhere to be seen.
You ever
He's
want to
over
fuck
here,
yourself?
maybe.
Choose to believe, choose to fight, choose to love.
Yeah, this is the era of Twilight was very successful. Let's pump out a bunch of these. Fuck this, the Mage Runner, or whatever.
There he is,
Mage
Kirkland.
There he is,
Boyd.
looking like Tyler Briggs.
Yeah, he kind of
Yes.
does. Yeah.
Let's come.
He
up before
really
on the podcast,
does.
for sure.
Oh, all right, there you go, Clay. I hope that satisfied your hunger there.
I will say too in my notes I accidentally wrote instead of Patreon Claytreon, and I kind of like that actually.
Claytreon.
I might start calling him that. Hopefully
He's gonna be
he
in the
accepts.
Yeah, he's gonna be the Transformers next big movie they're doing there, Kirkland, that you don't. You know what's gonna happen, Taylor? He's not gonna watch it until they announce what the movie is. He's not gonna watch it till they announce what the movie is. He's like, oh, it's so cool. You know they're doing this with Transformers? And be like, yeah, because you didn't watch the fucking movie. Oh man. Anyways. Brent, what
I
said
completely missed that, but yeah.
what's going to happen is Kirkland's not going to watch Transformers. And they're
took
going to
out the thing,
announce
though, so I
yeah,
can hear.
they're going to announce what the next movie is, and he's going to be like, "Oh, that's so cool. They're doing this." Be like, "Yeah, I thought you said you're going to watch." Like, "Oh yeah, I didn't have time for that." So, I just hate that he's like, "Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me." And it's like, I know what's going to happen. I
You're-
know how this is going to go down.
You're talking like this has happened before, Travis.
It has.
Taylor's gonna pick it as his movie for Golden Geeks, and we'll all have to watch it.
Oh, don't waste it. Don't do it.
No, he's picking
Good
Tetris.
idea,
I'm
actually, I
sure.
like that.
Tetris. Okay, so Brent sent in two questions. One's a Mimi one, but if you have an answer for it, you can give it. So he said, one, what are your top 10 Marvel movies better than Logan? I can't remember how this started. On One Time Marvel Alliance, they were talking about it, and he said something about Logan like not being in his like top 5, like even X-Men films. So I, but what Taylor said he wouldn't do, I just busted in their Marvel Alliance show mid-thing and started talking everything like that. And then the next week he named 10 movies that were better, and he named like Howard the Duck. Like he just memed on me and named like movies that were bad and stuff like that. So I changed it a little bit just for to kind of get the semblance in here because Brent, dirty bastard. But is Logan in your top 10? And then also, what's your favorite Hugh Jackman performance other than Logan?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a good chance that it makes it into my top 10, although I don't think I would have too much difficulty making a list of 10 movies that I could put above it, but I'd really have to break down and do a ranking because obviously I've done an MCU ranking, but I've never done like every comic book movie I've ever seen ranking.
Yeah.
I'm not like S-Bubs in that way. I don't have a ranking list for every movie I've seen. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's top 10 worthy for sure. It's not top 5 for me, but I think it could squeak into that top 10.
That's fair.
Favorite movie from him other than Logan would be Days of Future Past, I guess, for me, or X3. I love X3. There's some good
It's getting
moments
spicy
in there.
in the Discord.
There's some
about
good
X3
moments.
this
So
week.
Oh,
he's
I read
going
this
up and
question
Phoenix
wrong
is
again,
ripping
too.
his like flesh
He
off,
did.
but he's going up
Yeah.
to kiss her and save her and all that stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
But
me a
I think
kiss.
Days of Future Past would be my pick.
Yeah. I'll jump in there too. Well, for the first question, I think I would put it in my top 10. Don't know exactly what number it would be, but I think I'm pretty strong in the fact I could say that. So, what do you want to add in there, Mister?
No, when you said you don't know a number, and I was joking by giving the
no,
one
no.
finger.
It's the best movie of all time. And then my favorite Hugh Jackman performance for Wolverine, other than Logan, which Travis
Yeah.
did not read that.
I have two answers for this question because I read it wrong.
But I think I would actually jump in with Dylan on Days of Future Past. I think the one that initially I was thinking of was X2, but I think with Days of Future Past, the stuff that really carries it over X2 for me is when he's speaking to young Charles and basically like telling him the lessons that old Charles taught him. It goes really far for me in those moments of just how far Logan has come to that point, and now he's like basically teaching what his professor taught to him and like giving him those life lessons. And he's also just really fun in that movie. He's got good comedic moments as well as like the range of the more emotional stuff. So yeah, I'm with you. Days of Future Past would be my favorite favorite performance there.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one, so I'm gonna go with X-Men First Class. I think just that one scene. No, I'm joking, but it's tough because Days of Future Past I love. He plays the most evolved version of that character. Then I always go Logan, but he plays the most evolved because he's having to be the teacher in this movie go around, and it's good we meet Logan when he is more grizzled and he's been on the X-Men for a while. But at the same time, he's not like the main character of that. It's still more about Mystique and McAvoy. Like Jackman has a big role, but he's also there to be the poster guy. He's there to sell the movie, and he does, but he is almost more supporting everybody else. X2, I always bring up the scene, and yeah, Kirkland picked up that scene. I love that scene when Charles reads his mind. That is like fantastic stuff. X2, I always bring up the scene we talk about this in retro when they lose Jean Grey and it's him and Scott on the plane, and it's him having to tell Scott that Jean's gone, and it's these two guys that hate each other but they're holding on to each other and they're like crying. It's some good stuff. And just Hugh Jackman in that mansion scene when he has to tear through everybody. Oh my goodness, like that's peak Wolverine. You want to shoot me? That shoot me. And yeah, it's so good. And again, another one like it doesn't get enough credit, but is the Wolverine, especially the first half when he just has like the massive beard and the hair and he's just depressed because Jean Grey's dead. He's no longer, or he's been kicked out of the X-Men, like whatever the reason, and he's just very down and out, and he's very solemn. Like, not that Wolverine is not always sometimes solemn. He sometimes is, but this is a very different of, you can tell the man wants to die. He feels like he has no purpose in that trip to Japan. But I think I'd probably just give a slight edge to X2. I think that's where I would go just for a couple scenes near the back half. So, and for the question that I reread wrong, what was my favorite performance other than Logan, is him in The Prestige, because I just watched that last week, and that's his best fucking role. Other than Logan, it's just like, man, talk about the perfect example of a character that like the best example of obsession. Like I'd say, like there's Walter White, and The Great Danton is another one where you start so hard rooting for this guy and his wife, and near the end of this movie, you're like, fuck, this guy is a piece of shit. And it's not like he was a mustache for like the whole time. It's like, no, you literally see him
ransacking your house right now. What's going on?
Emily is moving some stuff around there. Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, you just see,
the camera like pick up and move.
You see
Boyd
this
Holbrook just stealing your shit.
yeah, you see this man just turn into a hero to the
You want me on the
biggest piece
podcast
of
so
shit.
bad? I'm here.
And you, Emily's not a fan that we're all laughing at her. She's looking, but I was gonna say, it's just one of those situations where so rarely, even when a character takes a turn, you're not cheering for them anymore. So there you go.
Yeah.
Taylorfield.
So top 10 movies above Logan. Spider-Man: No Way Home, Infinity War, Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers, Ghost Rider, Iron Man 2, Captain America: Civil War, Thor: Ragnarok, and Iron Man.
So it's easy for you.
Ghost Rider.
Putting
Come
all
on.
of those. Oh,
you
Ghost
hate
Rider.
the X-Men though.
I will never forget that moment at Target when you asked what's Taylor's favorite. I think you said favorite movie too. That was the question, right? Not even favorite comic book movie or
Maybe,
anything.
yeah.
Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, like with like 0.2 seconds response. Like he did not have to think. It was just Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. And Travis and I were just shocked.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And 8 years
Really
later,
good.
we're still talking.
Here we are.
about it.
Still
Yeah.
in it. Favorite Hugh Jackman, other than Logan performance, Van Helsing. Like holy shit, that's just.
You read it the same way I did.
Well, what's
The
your
question-
favorite Hugh Jackman as Wolverine performance other than
Is
fuck.
he
Yeah.
Wolverine in that movie?
Yeah,
Van
yeah.
Helsing?
X-Men: Days of Future
We
Past would
both
be my
screwed
pick.
up. Yeah, we both screwed up there.
I just love that we talked about it. Yeah, it's like no, Travis read it wrong, and then here you are. I knew it was coming too.
Van
I was
Helsing?
excited.
Van
Yeah,
Helsing?
Van Helsing.
You guys seen
Great
that
movie though, Taylor.
Oh yeah,
Kate
so good.
Beckinsale in there. Come
Oh,
on.
oh,
And you got freaking Faramir in there. Oh, give me that retro.
you got everyone.
Frickin'
Yeah.
Faramir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and I didn't answer that first part. Yeah, it's number one for my Marvel movies. It's still with a bullet. Spider-Verse is, I always accept that as people if they say that's the answer, but Logan's still the top dog for me after all these
Top
years.
dog.
So yeah, now we've thank you everybody that answered the questions. We'll get into our last four, which is all of us. So I said, with video games becoming TV shows being a new fad, what TV shows would you want to make into a great video game? What's your pitch, concept, gameplay, etc.? And I said TV show can't be a spin-off movie, so I didn't want Taylor coming and be like, oh, The Mandalorian. It's like, well, no, that's like Stars. I'm saying something that started as a TV show. There maybe it became a movie, but like something that is TV proper. As Taylor was like moving his list, like, oh no, I had The Mandalorian.
Delete,
Van
delete,
Helsing.
I
delete.
didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the yeah. Go
I'll
ahead,
go.
Kirkland.
I first of all really like this question, Travis. This is fun. I was splitting hairs on a couple here, but I ended up picking Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is funny. I already brought it up in this one. Specifically, obviously the cartoon, the show, not the not the M Night movie that we've seen, because as you said, it's gotta be a TV show. Not that I would have picked it if that wasn't the clause in the question, but no, again, it's one of my favorite shows, and I think the universe is something that is just like, I love that show, but what the universe is my favorite aspect of it. Like, they just brought so many interesting ideas to this lore of the different factions, the different tribes and everything like that. So what I kind of pitched for what it would be, I don't think you would specifically have to be playing Aang, which is like the main character for Avatar: The Last Airbender. You could be any type of avatar. Maybe I should mention, if you're not familiar with what the show is at all, there's different tribes out there that can control different elements. Not everybody can bend their element, but the avatar can control all four elements. And then of course the adventure of Aang is he has to master all four of the elements to become the avatar and bring peace to the world. So I pictured it would be like an avatar, not necessarily Aang. It could be whoever. Aang started as an airbender, and then he had to learn the other ones. So you could start as a fire tribe avatar or an earth tribe, anything like that. And then you're basically would be following that sort of idea of like in his path. I don't think it would go the route of like you would create your own. Like I think it kind of would help if the story was set on like, this is your character, that whoever the game makers is wrote it out that way. I just think story wise, usually when you have like a set character, it's Arthur Morgan, maybe Red Dead Redemption Pole, or like a GTA type character where it is a character that the creators made. It's just better for storytelling, in my opinion, that way. But probably third person would be a good aspect for it. And yeah, you're just what did I write down here? You follow the path of the avatar. You have to master the four elements while meeting friends, facing foes, seeing the world, and really big emphasis on seeing the world, because they just have so many different fascinating biomes and each city that they go to, whether it's in like the Fire Kingdom or the air temples, they're so different. And just to get a controller in my hand and adventure throughout this world, flying on your air bison, they have some very fascinating
Air bison.
they have some very fascinating characters in it. Travis, when that's a show for the girls for sure. It's really, really just a fun show for all audiences. I think even just for like I mean, I love it, but I also just I love those sort of cartoon type things. But I just want more people to be familiar with that series because I think it truly is like one of the greatest shows of all time. Like if I had to make my list, just really, really well done with the storytelling, the character progression, all of that thing. But to be able to play through it, I'm like waiting for them to make. I think they've done like a couple spin-off Nickelodeon type games where like you are playing as Aang with I don't know, fighting some enemies and whatnot, but
Didn't
to
they
just
do, like,
have
a
this story.
Mortal Kombat type of scroller game, or am I wrong on that?
I'm not too sure. I know they had
2D
like that
fighter.
Nickelodeon like Smash skin type thing. That's with like
really?
all
A
the different
Smash skin?
characters.
Okay, I might be
Yeah, I
thinking
don't know
All-Star
how
Brawl, he's in
successful it
there,
was.
And then there's a couple characters in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how successful it is. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
still supported or anything like that. But yeah, I really like this this pitch that I have. I would really like to play that game. So there you go.
There you
Maybe
go.
someday. I could see it
Maybe
happening.
someday. Yeah, you got the show, Netflix show coming out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
live action, and I'm very optimistic for it. It could definitely disappoint, but Shay and I are super pumped for that one.
I apologize if I missed it that you said this. Are you gonna get the game that's coming out? Like the
Wait, there's
new
a
one?
game coming out? What?
Yeah, available in fall 2023. Quest for Balance, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's like exactly what I just pitched.
No, I mean I feel like there's been a bunch of games, but I don't
Yeah.
think any of them are quite to your pitch.
He's talking like
So
a
that-
AAA game. You know, that's what he
I mean, I'm interested. I'm definitely gonna be checking. I haven't tried any other games. It's like I know they had a Korra game, which is the Avatar after Aang, which I think is really fun from what I heard. I think it's like an Xbox 360 era game, so it's a little bit older now. But
I
don't
remember
know.
playing one of those because my cousin was like a big gamer score hunter, and you
Oh,
could
yeah.
get
Oh,
a
shit.
1,000 gamer score in one of those games in like 25 minutes. You just had to get like a 50-hit combo essentially, and you get 5 different achievements. And it was actually a pretty cool game, like cruising around the town and stuff like that. Oh my god, is this
Holy fuck! This is exactly what I
Kirkland's
pitched
moment.
essentially.
People
No,
were
yeah,
saying it looks like a GameCube game, so they're not impressed by it. But
yeah,
not the most visually stunning, but it seems like it's fun if you're into that world. Right?
yeah. It's on my radar. Thanks for throwing it on there.
It's on the radar now. All of a sudden.
Yeah.
I'll go with my pitch next. So here's how I'm just going to start here. The game starts out and it's third person, you know, kind of camera setting, and you're in a house and you're walking around. And it starts out you're doing like the basic tutorial stuff. This is like level 1 sort of situation. You go into the kitchen, you're doing like some like cooking mini games. You're making like ham and veggies, just you're making some random meal, okay? You learn the basics, like the buttons and whatnot. You make this meal, and then you take it into the dining room, and there's a dining room full of friends at this table. And then you start eating the meal, there's like this dialogue going on, and then the title card drops. Hannibal.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's level 1. It's kind of simple, getting you into it. It's like a bit of a twist start. And then, you know, fade to black, whatever. You start a new day, and now you're like in the game proper. And I picture it as like an open world, but like a small open world. You know, just like a certain area with a town, maybe a couple parks. You're probably not driving around. It's probably like the scale you'd walk around the town and stuff like that. And I think you're kind of going around, and there's like, you know, very specific characters in this world. You're kind of talking to people. And I think the way it works is like essentially it's almost like a hunting game or something. You're really trying to pick your mark, who's going to be like your next target. And so you're going around, you're talking to people, you do some really fucked up stuff where you like you push people, you do like side quests to like push people to the edge where they like go do therapy with Hannibal. And this is where you like break down characters and you really talk to them. You have like dialogue trees where you can find out a lot of stuff about their life to find out if they'd be a good pick or if they're like maybe too high profile and maybe they'd be risky, or even if they're just someone you want, like if you think you're going to get the right stats from them when you go through the next step. And so you go through this whole thing, and then eventually, you know, you have some other quests where you can hunt them down, trap them, get them, do your Hannibal thing, chop them up, cook them, and then you have this part of the game where you got to invite people, and like ideally you're inviting the specific people that you'll get more XP if you invite people who are like close to this person, if it's like a family member or a friend or
The
a
more
colleague.
fucked up it is.
And then, but then you also have to make it so the meal is like really well made and like to that person's senses, to the things they like, so that if you get a colleague and you give them like 100% 100% on the meter in terms of their enjoyment of the meal, then you just get like fucking, you're raking in the XP, you're raking in the gears, the upgrade, all that stuff. And you're kind of just going through this cycle, and the goal is to kind of just go as far as you can without getting caught. And so there's points in the game maybe where you could like go to a crime scene and like mess with evidence and stuff, try and like target people in the city, something like that. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty like low action game. It's more like, I picture like third person like Hitman, but it's more about like doing funny weird scenarios and setting things up rather than like it being a big action title.
Yeah.
And a lot of dialogue, a lot of characters and stuff like that. So yeah, what do you think of that?
And if you're cooking and the person eats it, you get like a bad score. The person's like, "This tastes like a human," and they suss you up.
Yeah.
Pull like a tooth or something.
For
yeah.
sure.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck.
No,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. I think you'd have to pair that with like, because I don't think it'd be AAA. You'd have to pair it with like the right independent studio that would like that's made something similar. That like the way we always talk about how, oh god, what's the cooking game that caused the moving game and then Overcooked. Yeah,
Overcooked.
not saying like that, but you need someone that would have something that's done a similar version of that, but not with cooking, with this. And even then, like I don't know if like Quantum Dreams could be the route too of that'd be the studio.
Yeah,
because I'm just thinking about what's their first game they made? Like serial killer game, Heavy Rain, and even Detroit Become Human. I think that could be a route. Like they would be a perfectly timed, because that could go into your skill tree, right? And I could feel like think about how when we reviewed that down, how Clancy Brown's character Yumi had such a different experience with. He loved you, and he hated me. You could do that as a therapist, right? You could have different relationships with all your clients. So I think a Quantum Dreams Hannibal would be the route to go, and then cooking mini games for sure.
I think there'd be this mechanic too, or almost like a vampire or like a werewolf or something. Like you have to like the longer you go between having a session where you cook someone up, like the more like your stats just decrease, and maybe there's like erratic stuff that happens, or like certain dialogue trees like you don't even get to pick anymore. Just like we'll randomly select one until you like feed, and then you're max stats again, and then you increase those stats by like doing the right stuff and whatnot. But so there kind of adds that little bit of time crunch on it too, where you don't want to take too long. But if you do too many crimes, then like the cops are going to be on you and stuff like that. So I feel like there could be a fun push and pull there of like trying to min max it, but also trying to be kind of casual about what's going on and not reveal yourself.
What about you, Taylor?
I'm thinking you get Rockstar Games. You can bring them in for this. You have make your own hero, a morality meter, good bad choices. I'm thinking we got the boys. Yeah, you make your own superhero, and so basically, yeah, you basically can do good things or bad things. It reflects your kind of path. You have an agent for your publicity, and they could be giving you advice, and you could be just fucking up and everything along those lines. Very Grand Theft Auto like, but more with like a Crackdown style like mechanics, like you're jumping up, you're flying around, depending on your power. It's just like very flamboyant. So you can do missions with or for the 7. You have co-op missions, but basically like online worlds, just like Grand Theft Auto, where like you got the civilians doing their own things. There's casualties get in the way, like collateral damage, destructible environments. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I tinker with the boys as well too. Yeah, that would have been fun. Kojima apparently was making a game like that, and then he saw the boys and he stopped. I was like, oh, that's annoying. I would love to see Kojima doing like a mixed superhero world and stuff. So yeah, I had 2. One is just a show because I didn't have a way to work it. I've not seen it enough, but I feel like we never got a great reboot game like back in the day, like that world.
Yes.
I just feel, and I couldn't think of a way to pitch
cool.
it, but I just think like that world has so much you could do with it, character wise and everything. So, but my main pick is definitely similar into Dylan's vein, where I took the Dexter route, and like he said, the Hannibal or the Hitman, that kind of idea where Hitman has all these ways of executing people. Dexter, each episode is like, how am I going to get this person? What disguise am I going to use? All these things. But how I'd make it a little bit different
I was
is
just picturing the fucking long hair Dexter.
oh, we don't have that picture anymore.
We need that
damn,
picture,
yeah. How am I going to go tonight, Harry? You should be young Dexter. He just puts on
Young
the
Dexter.
yeah.
Just
You going to high
de-aged.
school party? Yeah, he's going to high school party, puts on the wig and everything.
man.
But yeah, so like that sort of similar output. But the way Dylan was talking about how you'd have the different trees, something similar, but I'm gonna go back and steal from the LA Noir section of the interrogation system
Nice.
because everyone wants to do the kill table, right? How much time is he always trying to get them to confess or get them to do that? I think it'd be strange if you just kidnap them and it's just a cinematic every time of the kill, right? Because yeah, it's good if you got Michael Steele acting and stuff, but if it was a way of you got to get some more information on maybe there's another killer, or maybe same thing, he's trying to track down a killer, he's getting all this info. I think if you did, which I was also terrible at in LA Noir, I think I was too young for that system. I felt like I was, and plus I even think the effects weren't that good when it's like the faces they were making. It's like I don't know what face that is, but I would take an updated interrogation system and try and bust it out of those characters and find, okay, did you kill this person? Did you not? Because Dexter doesn't like killing them unless he gets that that gratitude of them admitting it, right? So maybe there's a kill room where you do kill a guy and he doesn't admit it and your stats go down. Or maybe you kill an innocent guy. Like maybe there's something that happened in Dexter a few times. Maybe there's a mission you go on and you only got a little info about the target and you have to catch them, but then you can lose points if it's the wrong victim. So I think there's some fun ways you can do it. The only game they ever made, which I did buy, they made a Dexter PC game back in the day, which was not good. You just played through the first season and it was something, but I bought it because I was just a Dexter junkie. Yeah, I don't even know it's PC game. It might even be mobile, but it's LaGuerre's in there, Dokes, all that stuff, and it's something. So what oh, you got, is that a reboot over there?
I got the reboot game here, boys, on the original PlayStation.
And the graphics look just like the show. It's perfect of the game.
It's looking like Tony Hawk though. Everything he's like.
I had
on
this
the board.
game. I had this game. Okay. Oh my god.
We should do a retro. They got 4 seasons.
We should do a retro.
The mainframe edition is what it's called.
I'd be down, but that's definitely a let's see let's see
content.
The strike,
strike goes on too.
Yeah, because I don't know what the ratings would be for reboot. At least I'm like, well, the show's coming out. Batman. Oh well, we got the show coming out. But yeah, reboot one. Before we die, we will retro reboot one day because
I gotta check this game out.
They just got reboot. Then we'd have a reason. So. Oh, that's the game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had
this looks fun though, man. I want to check it out. Some iconic scenes.
It's pretty.
Look at what you've done. Look
at
at I'll cut the eyelids right off your face.
Oh wow.
That's from the first show, except it's a different scene. Yeah. No, I bought
Stealth
this game.
mechanics.
Yeah.
How much did you pay?
That's the real question.
Too much. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, there you go. Those are my pitches. So that was my question this year. It's in the order, but I'm going to end on Taylor's because I can't go.
It's a good way to end.
Yeah,
how we all end.
It's a good best or worst way. But Kirkland Patzer says, "Is there a certain topic or news piece that stands out over others that gets you super excited to podcast about? What's your favorite thing to talk about on the podcast?" So Kirkland, I'm going to throw to you, who gave us the question.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've kind of gotten a similar question to this. Is just like what's like, what do you guys like to? Mostly in reference to like basically that. And then I feel like I always fall back on like specific retro. It depends though, because there's certain news topics that are just so wild that I'm not even, or maybe like on the surface, they just seem like it's going to be a whatever news topic. But then I find out some random detail and then we go on a tangent and it just gets so ridiculous and I'm laughing my ass off and it ends up being like one of the funnest times ever. So like my answer is kind of just like the unplanned stuff, which is kind of a cop-out answer because it's not like a specific thing to talk about. But I think that's what makes it so entertaining, is because I'm not expecting to get wild, but when it does, oh my gosh, there's something in the air. And that, like, it's definitely happened many times on the podcast, but I feel like there's like maybe 10 that are just so bonkers that like there is something in the air where everything we say is just setting me off and I'm just giggling like a little schoolgirl. So I basically just wrote down the random shit in that aspect, which is like funny. Like when we went back to I think it was when I was like on my, I don't know, my extended vacation or something, go visit like my family in Alberta. I came back and then like it was just I think it was when Taylor had his wedding, and it was just me and Travis. And Travis was like filling me in on just what I missed. Like that's kind of what we did for that news episode. It ended up being really fun because it was just like, yeah, like did you believe that this happened? I think that was when we did like the BS. That was like the origin of the BS meter as well, and that was just really fun to have this like random topic to talk about. And like reason why I brought in this question was someone had asked me that actually of like what is your favorite thing to talk about on podcasts, and I'm like. I don't think I really know like a clear answer for that because there's things when maybe a certain review is just I'm so passionate about, or a retro of course, or maybe there's some Star Wars news that I'm just really pissed about and I just want to vent for something. I don't know. It doesn't happen often when that happens, but when it does, I get heated and it's fun to just get in the zone in those aspects. So it's not like a clear like Marvel's my favorite thing to talk about because that's not the case. Like there is some just random DC things that I think are really fun sometimes. So yeah, very loosey goosey answer. I'm not sure how detailed you guys got or specific you guys got for yours, but I don't know. I thought it was a fun one to throw in there nonetheless.
I'll go next. For me, there's definitely a few things. I do love a good Marvel rumor. I feel like there's a sweet spot between like this thing's not even a rumor, like it's actually just happening and we just don't, it's not confirmed yet. It's still in that rumor status. And then like the full BS, 100% BS meter, like bullshit. And then like really just the midpoint between that, I think is the most exciting spot where something feels kind of realistic. And you know, like there's not many properties that we have like 40 connected projects that have happened in a decade's time that I feel like when a good rumor comes up, we can pull in so much information of like, okay, well, this thing happened here. We know these other projects are coming down the line. And then, of course, it's based on like comic books. So there's like you can bring in info from outside that. And I just feel like sometimes we can really sleuth on some certain rumors and have some really fun conversations. But I feel like there's just even like a pocket earlier this year where, you know, we were doing like the mini newscast where it was like 1 week me and Taylor and then me and Kirkland and then Kirkland and Taylor. We had like those duos like swapping each week. And I feel like there was a month or two there where there's some really spicy, great Marvel rumors, and I just really enjoy those conversations. They like just really get me going because it's something that we're all very knowledgeable on, so we can really just go layers deep on it. Where sometimes we're talking about a certain maybe IP or something. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that, and then the other guy like knows everything about it, and you know, it's like always a nice balanced discussion in that way. And then, I mean, just video games in general, which is why I'm so happy that SideQuest exists now. But I think for me, like the peak for sure is like a new game discussion where like everyone is playing something. Because, you know, on SideQuest, I'll always bring in these random indies and random Game Pass games that I'm checking out. But the best discussions are always going to be the ones when like everyone's been playing a new game and we've been playing for 10, 15 hours and we haven't even talked about it yet at all. And we can come on and have these, just talk about every single element of it. I enjoy those. And then, I mean, really, the peak for me is like the Arcane Retro. Like that is me getting to talk about like my favorite studio and these games I'm so passionate about, and some games I've never played, and some weird old RPGs that no one talks about. That is exactly my niche, my pocket, the things that I like listening to, and the fact that we got to do that. I feel like I tricked Kirkland and Dante into joining me on that. Obviously, Travis, you joined for an episode too. Like I just felt so lucky to be able to do that. It was so much fun. So yeah, each and every single episode of those were like, I was playing those games, and just for the days or weeks that it would take between we'd be playing and recording, I was just so excited and thinking about it constantly. It was like just months of thinking about Arcane, which is a good place to be, even though it ended in fucking Redfall, you know?
Yeah.
We still have to do the rankings, which is happening soon. Dante's movie doesn't have internet, but we're going to record it very soon, and I'm excited to kind of put that little bow on it. But that was just such a great journey through the first half of this year.
It really was, and I'm sad I wasn't there in the end, but listening to the review, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to waste money on this.
The ranking will be a great way to just say goodbye to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think for me it's tough because they're a little less nowadays, but my favorite times, and even when we're doing them over the computer, was the Comic-Con E3, where we would just be in Dylan's basement for a full day and a half, and we're waiting for conferences and some of the best times. And like I said, we don't get that as much, but like last year when we did the thing of okay, we don't get the Marvel Alliance comic or the Marvel stream, but we're just gonna watch Twitter feeds, and it leads to moments of Kirkman being like, "Oh my God, Hugh Jackman's back," which is funny. Months later, it would happen, but just moments like that where it's like, no, that's disbussing film. That's not the
Disbussing
truth.
films has
Yeah.
gotten me so
Hate
many times.
disbussing, man.
Disbussing, and I feel like those are usually the times when the chats are the most lively because they're doing the same thing as us, because they don't have a feed, so that's the most time where sometimes when we do watch alongs, like, oh, some people might watch, but this one's okay. Well, really, there's nothing to watch, so I think that is the time. Or I do think movies that are just obscenely really bad, whether it's a new one or a retro, we have to, because I feel like I know some people don't like talking about bad movies to get disappointed. And there's like a sense of disappointment, but I think it's more like the fun, like, can you believe they did this, and stupid moments like that. So, and I think because it's just trying to just parlay our thoughts, and then we usually end up, I feel like, unless it's really bad, I feel like there has to be like maybe there's a touch point, because like the really bad where it's not fun, those reviews can suck because then you're just talking about something you don't. I think it's kind of somewhere in the middle between that. But yeah, it's those big events when we get to a gaming thing, and we don't get to do them as much because now with the gaming ones they're all split out. Even if they were all sometimes the whole weekend, we could watch them all, but it's just sometimes like Nintendo did theirs like 2 weeks later, right, on a random day where it's like, okay, well now, before we used to know it's that weekend, and if we can get the Monday off, we'll do that. Where nowadays it's all over the map, right, and it's not exactly the same. And Jeff Keighley would do fucking Summer's Game Fest randomly Thursday at 11 a.m. It's like, why are we doing change that up? But yeah, those were the time, those moments where it's just a bunch of. And me and Taylor did a similar one this year where we stayed up for Star Wars Celebrations Showcase, and that was like 3-4 a.m. and I remember for about 45 minutes I was just holding it down because Taylor was on the rocks the entire
I got my
time.
bump, though, at the end.
But yeah, we got the Ahsoka trailer, we got Thrawn stuff, we got all these announcements, and then Taylor was back. You can watch like out of nowhere, and then we went for a full hour breaking it down. So sometimes those can be the worst. And honestly, like those live streams and stuff like that, probably the least profitable content we do, because like YouTube doesn't pay anything and we don't put that stuff really on the podcast feeds. But that's where it gets back to earlier with Sam's question. That's just stuff that I do because that's fun. That's the closest. Just we're just hanging out, having a good time, and those ones are always tough to justify because, like I said, they do take a lot of time because sometimes the panels are like 2 hours and you don't really do much. But I always love watching the stuff with you guys. So. That's, and trying to make Kirkland break on the podcast. That's always a goal of mine. Sometimes I like if I can get Kirkland to a certain point there, and then he's gone for a couple minutes. So he's my Jimmy Fallon or the way Bill Hader and when he played Stefan. I'm always like, okay, what can I get him on? Because I still say you want to fuck yourself, and he'll still laugh every once in a while. So it all carries
Not
over.
today. But
Not to, I got him earlier. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
We all
What about
fucked.
Good
memory.
Fucking yourself. Yeah. Taylor, what about you?
Star Wars news by far. That's like my main go-to. I am still super sad that Cantina Conversations doesn't happen anymore. That was like my.
Yeah, you think you
pride
got time
and
for it
joy.
nowadays?
I would make time just for a 1 hour segment of a Star Wars discussion episode,
One day.
bi-weekly. Oh man, I feel like Star Wars we don't get to talk about it enough. And it's just like in a trailer or something like that. I'm so passionate. I love the debates that we would get into. I feel like we had some great conversation back then. There were some good things that came out of that. I'd love to revisit that. Plus some banger thumbnails that you made too, and you put Loki just the guy at the table. There's some great shit in there.
Some Easter eggs and stuff. Though that was my prime thumbnail making, was the Star Wars Cantina. So yeah. All right, Dylan Muss. In an alternate universe in the Multiverse of Madness, which would become the main timeline if those characters didn't die, which is a good preference, who would you cast alongside those characters or those versions of the characters? So, Dylan Muss, I'll give the floor to you. What did you answer here?
Absolutely none. This is my question for you. So,
whoa! You didn't answer any?
No. It's a question for you. I don't got my own answer.
Then I'll go. So I had, where are my notes here? Let's see. So there was an easy route for the I didn't cast the whole F4 because I don't think the thing really matters, and I couldn't it doesn't matter. It's a voice. I don't care what people say. It doesn't matter. I cheated, just went blunt as Sue Storm. I feel like that's the route you got to go. That's his wife. That's the easiest one to do. So then there's two other things I picked here as far as some equivalents, because like we talked about in the chat where it's like, yeah, Xavier's tough because you already have that. So with the Haley Atwell as Cap dynamic, I would have killed off Tony and either had a female Iron Man, but I couldn't really think of an actress, so I would have just made it that Tony had died and Rhodey was like the prime Iron Man. So that was the dynamic. And the reason I liked that dynamic is because they both come from like soldier backgrounds. They're both vets, where like Cap was a vet and Tony wasn't, right? This would be a situation where, especially if they were to butt heads, I'd like to see, okay, you have Haley Atwell who served in like the 60s, and then you have Rhodes who served in current day, and it would have been great because she would have woke up, been, Captain Britain, whatever it may be, and she's not used to the military system now, where Rhodes, that's been his whole life from, 20 to 40 now. So that's where I thought they could butt heads as far as having different ideologies as far as how to handle the situation.
Is it still Don Cheadle in this?
No, it's Terrence Howard for sure. It's for sure.
Yeah, it's gotta be Terrence
Yeah,
Howard.
I have
Next
that in
time,
my
baby.
notes. Howard. Yeah, it's Terrence Howard. You got to go that route just because it's a bit more funny and it separates it. And then for that Captain Marvel in that universe, when it was Maria or Monica Rambeau, it's Maria, right? Yeah, Maria. I said either I would recast Fury, so I had like a John David Washington, so you could just do something like that. But I would kind of go the reverse, that maybe Fury dies and you do the Avengers movie, but instead of Coulson dying, you flip that with Fury, and Coulson becomes the new Fury, and he's kind of like the team runner, and you can kind of have those two kind of join up and get more closer, and kind of some of the adventures they go on. So I tried to pick other characters the same way. Okay, Steve Rogers didn't become Captain America, but Peggy Carter did. I tried to pick equivalents to that. Like, okay, if Fury were to die, who could be the next up? And maybe that would be Coulson. He was friends with all the Avengers. He was recruiting Tony. So that would kind of be my ways. Maybe even go back to the Skrull invasion and Captain Marvel. Maybe they take over Fury, he dies there, and we get Secret Invasion with Agent Coulson, and he's running the Skrulls and everything like that. So those were my three: the Blunt, the Howard back as Iron Man, which is my favorite, and then a Coulson, or just a recast for Nick Fury. But I think I'd prefer Coulson because I like Clark Gregg, and I'd like to see him. He was around for quite a while, but I still would like to see him come back. So
It's good. I like it.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Okay. I think I understood the question, but I have two characters that I would put into like this group of like new Avengers here, this sort of main timeline. My pitch was, let's put Loki in there as a savior of New York, and Thor actually having been the evil one and just came in and tried to like teamed up with Thanos and came in to like destroy New York, and Loki came in and saved the day, and so he actually became the hero and joined with the Avengers. Thought that would actually be kind of cool to see that twist. And I also pitched, and this one's a bit of a stretch, you have a good iron-suited Whiplash. So instead of his family being casted out, the Starks are casted out. So Whiplash is the success, and he actually gets goes on this journey of self-discovery that Tony goes through. And so Tony is actually the villain, and Whiplash becomes the hero with the money and everything, and the whole joining the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. I think that'd be a really fun switcheroo.
That's very specific to you. I like it.
Yeah. Does he keep the bird?
Oh, the bird's there, yeah.
Are these all the same actors, or do you have new cast?
You got to get
members?
Rourke back in there. Yeah.
You gotta get Rourke.
But Loki and Thor, the same.
I would say Hiddleston for sure, just because he's so great as Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just be more of a selling point having the same actors switched around. I mean, maybe for all intents and purposes, you could have Natalie Portman as Lady Thor. That would be kind of cool to see, but as like the villain in that sense. But I think seeing like evil Thor and finding like good Hiddleston wearing like Thor garb almost, that would look super cool. And like Thor has the fucking
garb.
antlers going on, and
Wow, I'm into that. Yeah.
Awesome. I had a lot of fun with this one. So I was trying to get pretty creative. I ended up picking 3 characters, and I tried to pick one affiliated, obviously, with the current members of the Illuminati. That is what they're called, right? I'm not just...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The Illuminati?
It just sounds strange. So starting off with where's my notes here? Starting off with the Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel. I try to think of a character that's affiliated with Captain Marvel. First one that I thought of was, of course, Nick Fury. So for this one, I was kind of going with the original Nick Fury, more of like the comic book style, as well as like the Ultimate Alliance. I'm casting John Hamm as Nick Fury.
Oh, okay.
Looking into just like the like the original style. Here, I'll do a little screen share. I just feel like he's got that look. I just want to see it so bad. John
Kirkland's
Hamm.
also bringing up Richard McPhee to remind everyone that he was white, and Kirkland's not just like, yeah, let's get John Hamm as
You know, you gotta cover your bases.
yeah,
there.
Hamm would look good there. I could see
You'd be
that.
good with it, yeah.
So I again, I just have my mind going on how creative I got. So that was the least creative I was getting with this one. My next one was off of course, Krasinski's Reed Richards. Actually, no, I should have done the wrong order because this one isn't very creative. I just went Margot Robbie as Sue Storm because of all the rumors, and then potentially we're not going to be seeing her because of money issues. You know, she's pretty expensive, but I like. She's not as expensive if you just have a minor role. That's kind of how I was headcanoning it, and to just see her in the suit would be really, really fun. And of course, we just did the Wolf of Wall Street retro, so she is right in my mind there. The last one, which is my most creative one, I went with Atwell's Cap. So who's really, really close with Cap? None other than the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, right? But since we have a gender-swapped Cap, I decided to gender-swap Bucky. I made him now Becky Barnes. That's his new name.
Becky.
I casted Anya Chalotra, who is, I hope I'm saying her name right. She's from The Witcher. She is Yennefer of Vengerberg. She's got the black hair, and she's just such a badass. I love this actress. I really want to see her in more. I haven't seen The Witcher yet, so Travis, you're kind of on your own if you're reviewing that. But I was on. I was just looking up some like basically fan art, and there's some really like good styles for like a female Bucky Barnes, and I feel like specifically Anya.
The one to the left of that one was pretty solid there on that.
I don't want that. But like I don't know. I just feel like the idea of like if we're going to a different universe, just like the gender swap roles could be really, really fun.
The braid. Oh man. That's good.
Well, yeah, that wasn't my main pitch. This is the one for.
Oh, I know. I love that one. What's the one with the tail right beside it?
I know
Is
that's
that
the
a
one. That's what I want in this
furries, man.
universe. I just want the
Yeah.
furry version. But no, I really wish they went that way of just really getting swapping with all these. I mean, they did it for Haley Atwell, of course, but this was a fun question to pose there, Dylan. So thank you for that.
Nice.
I kicked my water bottle. I forgot it was there, and it was black, like dark, so I couldn't see it. So I thought there was like something rolling on the ground. I was just like, I was being haunted right now. I was like, what the fuck? And then I saw the
Burglars,
bottle.
they're back.
Boyd, yeah.
Time
I was gonna
traveler.
ask you, Kirk. It's a violent me. That's not good. I was gonna ask Kirk, you talk about the sexy beast and all this stuff. Were you frightened by the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like when they go to that planet with all that? Okay,
Like
you didn't
from the
mention that in the
trailer.
review.
From the
so.
trailer, I was like really unsettled by it, but I feel like I just seen that trailer so many times. I kind of was numb. I don't, not even numb. Like I still was feeling something
So
in
you're
it,
like,
but
I want
prepared.
this planet to die. Like you're high
Yeah.
evolutionary.
I was with
element.
Drax.
He's right.
I was with Drax. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and now because Dylan he asked this last year, and I said, "Give me a year," and I'm gonna do it because Classic Stress I did it wrong.
Right.
So last year he asked, "Give me the Lord of the Rings movie with the cast but swapped gender," and he said also if there is a director. So of course I'm on the high right now. Hopefully it's a good movie, but I put in Greta Gerwig as the director. She's also about to do Narnia, so I feel like she's probably already stretching
She's
those
getting there,
muscles.
yeah.
Exactly. She's doing like the lesser than, I'm just gonna say. But here we go. I'll do the quick round off. Frodo, played by Zendaya. Sam, played by Haley Steinfeld. Mary is gonna be played by Amelia Clark. I don't know where the fuck I was going with those names. Pippin, Margaret Qualley, because she can like she's a bit more serious now, but
Oh,
she has a
she'd be a
lot
good
of
Hobbit.
comedic chops. I just watched Nice Guys. I'm putting in Michelle Yao as Gandalf.
That's sick. I like that.
I'm putting in Rebecca Ferguson as Aragorn. I'm doing
fuck
Vanessa. I'm doing Vanessa Kirby as Legolas. I'm putting the street monster in Meryl Streep as Gimli. I don't know why, but there's something about I could see her do it really well, and you'd be caring. Boromir. Boromir is gonna get the Natalie Portman treatment because I would just love to see her and Rebecca Ferguson for Fellowship just go kind of at it for a while, and then finally, because she can do anything, Gollum's gonna be played by Florence Pugh because I just think
Oh yeah, that's good.
I think I could just see her in the suit and doing all the facial reactions and stuff like that. So there's the cast. I made good on it a year later because I
powerful.
felt bad that I read that one wrong. That was a good question, so I wanted to give it justice. So we are here, and I'm gonna let Taylor go
both
first.
things.
And yeah, you have to explain it as well because this is the most bedazzling, curious question we've ever gone from anyone. But Taylor, here we go. If you were to die, and then he put in brackets, no changing it. Which month? Which month? Like he has to remind us. Like not even. It's bad enough that we know he might die. There's no changing it, by the way.
You're gonna die.
Which? Yeah. Which month specifically? Which month specifically season would you choose? Fall, winter, spring, summer? Gives us the fall seasons. That's good. Expanding your answer by further choosing a month affiliated with that season. What the fuck were you cooking when you brought up this question, Taylor Field?
That's where I got kind of ChatGPT vibes because he says, which month, specifically season, would you choose? And then at the end, expanding your answer by further choosing a month affiliated with that season. Like not the month because you already asked for which month, or you're just asking for the season initially, and then after that, the month.
So was
Or
this
is
a
it just like a
ChatGPT
mistake?
question?
No, it wasn't a ChatGPT question.
What
I,
hang on. What happened with your mic?
What do you mean?
Oh, he has a stupid balloon. Oh no.
What's wrong? What's wrong with
You-
what's wrong with my mic?
I thought his
Oh,
child entered the chat for a second.
Oh, so he doesn't have a balloon this time. He has
Only
a
after the
voice.
3-hour mark. Only after 9.
Oh my gosh.
I found a fun.
Oh my god, that went higher.
You gotta do the Wolf of Wall Street thing to lower your voice.
I'm just curious if I'm
Still talking, does it like change like this?
It's definitely changing.
I can keep
talking and it just
Goes back up like this. Yeah, there we go. So basically, I was thinking about my own mortality one day, and it's a response to you, Kirkland. It's the month of that holiday season, and so I don't know what it was. Just like what's someone's pick for how they want to die? Like what kind of setting? Like cold, heat, all that kind of
Miss
stuff.
Taylor, why did you choose to phrase it in this particular way?
It's just what came to me. There's no chat GPT involved.
Oh man.
I can't hear what I sound like, so I'm gonna have to listen to some
You sound
playback.
like you sound like a chipmunk. Exactly. Like
100%.
Oh, good, very good.
It's so creepy to listen to.
Oh, it's really, especially when he does his little giggle there. That's
Yes.
fucking creepy. Oh man.
Am I
You do-
answering first?
What?
Please.
Sure. And then
Okay.
you can go back to your regular voice.
I chose winter, specifically a few days before Christmas in the month of December. I just wanted to have
That's usually when Christmas is. Yeah. Usually.
I just a warm bed, the cozy fireplace, the big window where I watch the snow fall.
And your little noggin.
My little noggin. And it like before Christmas. It doesn't have to be like after Christmas. I want to die, with the happiness incoming. I feel bad for the family, but that's how I want to go.
Bad for the family. Fuck the family.
You bum everybody out a few days before.
They can never experience Christmas again because every time Christmas comes around, they think about the anniversary of your death when you died in your sleep by the fire, so cozy and with a huge smile on your face. Just couldn't be more thrilled to be dead.
Oh God. Okay. I'm gonna come back down to planet Earth here.
Oh my god.
I'm back. I'm back.
How are you doing that? That your StreamYard setting? You got something on? How'd you like rework your mic
Definitely
into
not
that?
StreamYard.
anyways?
I just found a cool app and you can pick different
Wow.
different voice mods, and then when you just go into your settings, you can just change your microphone to the app thing.
Crazy.
I'm gonna have to use that for future
Oh
purposes.
God. Well, I'm glad you didn't have the balloon, but that was the equivalent. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Can't
Throat
damage
is
my
sore
brain
now
anymore.
from laughing so hard.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like not only the voice change, like I feel like the whole cadence of how you speak seemed completely different. Like you sounded like a different person. It was very trippy.
Yeah. Very much so.
Oh man, I really didn't know how to tackle this one because I guess even though it's scarring the family, that was kind of odd play. I guess I liked your pitches. It's a nice warm bed. You're in the bed. You got the wind of the snowfall. So I guess I never thought about it like that. So yeah, I really don't know because I didn't want winter because I didn't want to be cold and dying, but then like you said, you place a fireplace, everything. So I really don't know. Maybe I would go out on like Halloween and then my dead body can scare a couple kids, and that's about it.
You're the decoration.
Exactly. It fits with the tradition. I lost like my favorite grandpa that way. That was very close. He died on Halloween, so you just fit with that and go make it a snail schmuck. But I was like, how do I answer this? Like, I guess maybe in the summer when it's nice and warm, but I also didn't want to cook to death, so I'll just go October, Day of the Dead, maybe carry on. And because maybe if it's some situation where if you die and you only come back one time a year, like when you died, I wouldn't mind coming back Halloween, my favorite day of the year other than people's birthdays and whatnot. So yeah, I'll go with Halloween to fit with. And then I always be like, oh, you hear that guy died on Halloween, and I get to add to the mystique and the lore of Halloween. So that's what I'm
Old man
thinking.
Snail. He died
Yeah, old
in
man
that
Snail
house. Yeah.
died carving his pumpkin.
I took some time to think about this question. I feel like I wouldn't want it to be springtime because that's just so hopeful. You're getting ready for the good temp. Summer, it could be nice because like your last moment could be like on a beach seeing a sunset or something. That's very peaceful. Fall is like the most fitting probably because that's leaves are falling. You would be falling. But for some reason I actually picked winter, and like specifically like the last day of the year, like New Year's Eve probably, like just go out that day, like you live
Right
you
at
live
midnight when the fireworks.
yeah, like literally. Like literally.
It's in the countdown the last 10 seconds.
And that's how I
his
go.
life.
No, right
That's
before the
my
new year.
time.
I want to
okay.
basically die like
11:59.
yeah, like with that year. I lived the whole year,
Yeah.
and then I died right then. And then basically Taylor's scenario, just in my nice warm bed. If I had Tyrion Lannister with a belly full of mead and a woman's mouth on my cock. What a great way to go out. Like the great and powerful Tyrion Lannister. So.
Again.
I inherited a bit of an accent for that line.
Again, scarring your loved one, but that's okay.
Oh,
you want to die
God.
done?
Yeah, I guess summer is like the
No
least
changing it, Dylan.
intuitive,
Don't
right?
forget.
No changing. You're dying.
Summer seems like a bad vibe. Like that,
Yeah.
you don't want to sour anyone's mood. I'm gonna go a little bit different. You made some good. I think Halloween would be pretty sick, but I'm actually gonna go with. I'm gonna go with spring. I'm gonna go against
Ooh.
Kirkland's worst wishes. I'm gonna go with spring. What are the months in spring? I guess that gives you, because I always forget when winter ends. Is winter January and
Yeah, I'd
February, or is
I'd say more
February?
like
and
February.
spring?
I'd say
I
you get
think
like
it-
April, May, June is spring.
April, May, June.
Yeah.
that
I
sounds
feel like
about
it's
right.
like a February 20th or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so give me like April, like my sister's birthday's April, so maybe give me like May,
Jeez Louise.
May the 4th, yeah, on Star Wars Day. Just to fuck
Very
Star Wars
fitting.
Day for no. I'll go with May 2nd specifically. I'm gonna go like the day because I want like a nice rainy dour goth funeral. Like we want that,
Nice.
but then like the day after, like the daisies start to bloom and people feel like there's some symbolic relief in their life, and they feel like the plant. And maybe that doesn't happen in
That's
May.
still
Maybe it
in-
happens earlier. But yeah, there he is. That little tulip over there, that tree, that sapling over there. Yeah, that I think there's some hopefulness in there, but it's still a bit dour, like right on the edge there. There you go.
Just walking up those trees. Can you hear me? can you do this podcast for me on Tuesday? I got a trip out of town. I looked. Winter actually is technically the end is mid-March.
Wow.
Oh, it doesn't
Depends
end
where you're on the
evenly
world.
on a month. Okay. That actually
Yeah.
explains a lot. I've always wondered this and never thought to Google it.
March 19th. So deep into March there. So
Because March, that's when spring break starts, right? Like mid-March anyways? So I guess
Yeah,
that makes
somewhere
sense.
around
Oh
time,
yeah, that
so-
makes sense.
spring break. Yeah.
I always thought of spring break as like not the middle of spring, but it's like this is your break in spring, but I guess it's the start of spring.
Break into spring.
You're breaking into spring.
You're breaking
Yeah.
into it. Wouldn't it make more sense if it's like it's a break during spring?
Yeah.
You know, like you're
Yeah,
on
just
break.
Bringing into your break.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you know,
Unintuitive, but I'll take it.
even though we left on ending on a question of dying, you know, what a lively podcast this has been. What a lively year it's been. It's not done yet, but this is our, you know, fun little calendar kind of year end, and then we go into the fall, which obviously a little lot lighter, but fall's a lot busier. But a big thank you to everybody. I didn't count the questions, but you guys sent in a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. So thank you for supplying the show, and that's why we like to do this questionnaire, because each and every one of you are the reason this show is still around. So we kind of give, if you want to send a question out there, now's the time to do it. Well, you know, it was the time to do it, but we'll be back for the 9-year. Yeah, a big thank you to you guys for doing this. This is a longer one. We haven't done like a 3-hour plus one in a while, but it was justified. Yeah. So it was, yeah, it was a good time. Again, thank you everyone that listened. Thank you everyone for the past 8 years, and I promise you the next 8 years will not be boring.
See ya.
Bye-bye.